videos about the Marvel Universe, starting with the top 10 superheroes. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 176. But an extremely large number of bombs. That's right, bomb. This is a conspiracy. Peggy. Come on. Hurry, Steve. Reacted suddenly, roared crazily. Before he could finish speaking then I heard an earth-shattering explosion that resounded through the sky. Immediately afterwards, countless flames swept from the front to the rear of the car, and in the blink of an eye, they turned into countless pieces of skin and disappeared into the sky, and Peggy, Bucky and others were able to survive because of Steve's reminder and sufficient reaction time to jump off the train. The fire flickered, and the smoke billowed. The shock wave generated by the explosion directly cracked the entire cliff and collapsed it. The music at this time sounded extremely tragic and heroic, ending sounds, which stung people's tear ducts like silver needles. A wave of sadness flowed upstream and rushed directly into the eyes. They can't accept it. This time it turned out to be exactly what they imagined. It was Steve who fell. When I saw Peggy's desperate look in the video, I felt even choked up, and my heart was filled with countless complicated emotions. They thought that Steve could live happily with Peggy and Aunt countless times without becoming Captain America, but this time the war is not over yet. Steve disappeared under the snowy glacier again, just like last time. Why can't he live a happy life? I thought he would live happily with Peggy for the rest of his life. I thought he would fight side by side with Peggy and be invincible. Why does it have to end like this? I'm not willing to accept it. Even if he doesn't have the serum, he still works hard. He's not Captain America, but he is a hero because he is Steve, because he is always ready to die. Even if he has no power, his faith has never wavered. Even at this moment, I believe he will not regret leaving. Going. Without him, Peggy, Bucky and others might have perished here. No, he's not dead. He definitely won't die. He was able to survive, even when he sank to the bottom of the sea alone. Bucky was able to survive falling here once, and he can do the same. Hey, that's right. Bucky isn't even dead, let alone him. Burn. It's on fire again. The hopes of countless people are burning again. Yes, Bucky wasn't even dead. Not to mention Steve. They believe that this boy who will never fall this time, and will definitely stand up. Factory 109. Like Captain America, she chose to sacrifice herself for the world. Video continues when Steve fell off the cliff. The shock wave generated by the explosion was so violent that the entire mountain was shaking, and an avalanche could occur at any time. See the situation. Bucky reluctantly pulled Peggy and the team members away from the place. Return to position. Sadness was written all over their faces. I never imagined that the mecha that was originally thought to be invincible, the mecha named Hydra Stomper, would actually fail in this way. You said that shiny ice cube can subvert the laws of physics. Certainly. You also said that the Hydra Stomper is invincible. He is. At least he was. At this time the general was venting his anger on Stark. Obviously, how proud I was once, but how frustrated I'm now. Before, he thought that the mecha manufactured by Stark could quell this war. However, who would have thought that the war would not be over yet? Not only would the mechas disappear, but so would the cosmic cube. This is a huge blow to a face-conscious person like him. His name is Steve Rogers, not the Hydra Stomper. It's Steve. We lost. Here. The words Peggy couldn't bear it anymore and shouted directly at the general, so much so that when it comes to losing these two words I choked up and couldn't continue to speak. What she cares about is whether Steve is still alive, and she doesn't care about mechas or cosmic cubes. The audience watching the video also fell into silence. There is an indescribable emotion stuck inside. Just like Peggy said. He's Steve Rogers. Be a hero. He should get the respect he deserves, instead of being ignored and abandoned like a 613 piece of garbage. This is a disgrace to the hero. The most important thing to do is to retaliate and launch a fierce attack on Hydra. At this time point, just when countless people clenched their fists, to fight for Steve's injustice. Point in the picture, Peggy's face quickly changed from sadness to determination, and a hint of murderous intent flashed in her eyes. High burning and intense music also sounded in the background, like the horn of a warrior going to the battlefield to kill the enemy, which made countless people watching the video aroused, and every pore was expanding, hoping to see Peggy defeat Hydra, take revenge for Steve. Clang, clang, clang. The clanging sounds of countless metal collisions sounded when the screen transitioned smoothly. I saw Peggy rushing forward with a shield in hand. Obviously they have launched an attack on Hydra, and for Steve's sake, Peggy's anger turned into strength, and she became even more ferocious and fearless. She rushed directly into the crowd and cleared the front row of sentries at lightning speed. Every turn, every jump, every move of throwing a shield reminds people of Steve before they know. Now Peggy has proven herself that a woman can become a captain and a super soldier. The video continues. Peggy took Howard, and Bucky took the other team members. They broke into 2 waves and rushed into Hydra's base camp, accompanied by exciting music. Countless people's nerves are tense. They want to know, is Steve still alive, and whether the cosmic cube has been obtained by the Red Skull again, only seen in the screen. Peggy rushed ahead, followed by Howard Stark. When a burst of blue light caught their eyes, Peggy rushed over without hesitation. Those who are watching the video know that it must be the light emitted by the cosmic cube. That means Steve might really be dead. Sadness, despair. People felt sorry and sorry. This time Steve failed to survive like the previous video, even though he fell into the bottom of the sea. And being found by Hydra may lead to death. The thought of this, countless people clenched their fists. The anger inside seemed to be burning. I hope Peggy can destroy Hydra and the Red Skull to pay homage to the fallen hero. Along with the sometimes soothing and sometimes tight music, countless people became angry and nervous at the same time. Since Stark can use the cosmic cube to create such a terrifying mecha. What will the Red Skull do with it? But just when people were speculating, the camera follows Peggy into the huge space, and the faces of those watching the video are full of shock and disbelief. Only seen in the video. A huge space crack opened. Thick tentacles like an octopus stretched out from it. The front end alone was more than 10 meters long. It was hard to imagine how terrifying a complete tentacle would be. Whoops. The monster's tentacles waved in the air, making a whistling sound that broke through the air, bringing a huge visual impact to the people watching the video. They never expected it. The Red Skull used the cosmic cube to summon monsters from another dimension. Oh my god. What kind of monster is this? How come I've never seen it before? I thought the Red Skull would be teleported away directly by the cosmic cube like before, but I didn't expect that he actually succeeded and summoned a monster of this level. If he could master the power of this monster, wouldn't it be as the destruction of the world just around the corner? No. I believe Peggy will stop him. Just like in the previous video, Steve will stop him without hesitation, even if it costs his own life. When people are afraid of the power of this monster. Chapter 177. A barrage instantly attracted their attention. That's right. Either Steve or Peggy. When they become WoW heroes, you already have your own consciousness. That is to stop Hydra at all costs, stop the Red Skull, and end this war, even if I have to pay my own life in the end. They believe that Peggy, like Steve, will fight to the end, even if she is alone. You're too late, Captain Carter. I've already summoned Hydras. Boom. Above. When Red Skull was about to show off his achievements to Peggy. The monster's tentacles hit him hard and rolled him up. Then, in the eyes of countless people in shock and disbelief, the Red Skull was crushed into pulp with a snap. Boom, boom, boom. See this scene. Countless people's hearts seem to have stirred up turbulent waves, and they cannot calm down for a long time. They couldn't imagine at the Red Skull, who was showing off his power just now, died the next second. This reversal was unexpected, although it is a good thing that the Red Skull is dead. This scene also conveys a very important message to everyone. That is, this monster is not only offensive, but also powerful. Terrifying words cannot be used to describe it. Shock can only be used to express the mood of countless people at this moment. And at the same time, I began to worry, can Peggy and Howard Stark successfully stop it? Their sense of anticipation was heightened at this moment, and they all stared at the screen with their eyes wide open. At this time point when the red skull dies, the background music is tight and fast, making people who are already very nervous and worried feel chills in their backs and feel a sense of crisis. I saw that the monster's tentacles continued to grow, as if there was no end, and quickly filled the entire space, causing a huge visual impact to the people watching the video, which was shocking, not to mention Peggy and Howard Stark on set. Its tentacles are still growing. Judging from its spreading trend, it is likely to swallow up the entire Europe. Peggy's face was filled with shock point and my mind is running wildly, thinking about how to stop this. However, at this moment, Howard Stark said, "If you can send me to the control device, maybe I can change its entry method." Finished point. Peggy grabbed him, jumped up, and landed firmly next to the control device point. But just when Stark started to operate, boom, a dull crashing sound resounded. One of the monster's tentacles instantly hit Peggy's body and slammed her into the wall, creating a spider web pit. The powerful force made it difficult for her to move. Just when people thought that Peggy would die like the red skull point click, I saw Peggy picking up the long sword hanging on the wall, slashing at the tentacles, and breaking free. See this scene point. Countless people breathed a sigh of relief point. But at this moment point the background music suddenly became terrifying. The hearts that people had just put down jumped into their throats again. Nerves are tense instantly. I saw that the monster had too many tentacles and the power is extremely terrifying. However, even though Peggy was injected with a super serum, it was difficult for her to withstand it. His legs were tightly entangled and dragged towards the monster. The only thing she can do is to stick the sword on the ground and delay it for a while. As the music becomes more and more terrifying, it becomes more and more urgent. Point when countless people saw the sword almost being pulled out of the ground, they were nervous and at the same time extremely desperate. Could it be that this time, Peggy also wants to sacrifice like Steve? Boom. Just at the critical moment, a bursting sound suddenly sounded. Countless people suddenly looked up at the video when a familiar mecha came into their sight. Everyone was excited. Steve is indeed not dead. Sure enough, he will never fall. Steve is not dead. He is indeed not dead. It scared me to death. Great. I thought that dance was going to be a regret again. Now that Peggy is rescued, it's great. Yes, as long as the two of them fight together, they can be invincible. Countless people cheered excitedly. They thought the two would never dance that dance together again. Unexpectedly, not only did Steve survive, but he also saved Peggy. As long as two people fight side by side, people will believe that they can defeat, no matter how powerful the enemy is. Soon zero. When Steve showed up in a mecha point, Bucky also brought everyone here. Suddenly, countless bullets like a golden storm continued to shoot at the monster. And Steve was also piloting the mecha to emit extremely powerful light. But what shocked them was, doesn't work at all. Raw. As the music became more and more intense, the monster opened its bloody mouth and erupted into an extremely harsh sound, causing everyone present to cover their ears tightly and kneel on the ground in pain. Even the walls around the face cracked with the sound, and countless rubbles flew everywhere, as if the world was shaking. See this scene point. Steve sent Bucky and others out point and Peggy is fending off the monster alone. I can't close it. This monster is holding on. At this time point Howard's words made people nervous again. As long as the monster is still holding on, this door will never be closed. Hear the words. Peggy's eyes flashed with determination. Point caught by someone watching the video. An ominous premonition suddenly arose in my heart. Point could it be that Peggy is planning to sacrifice herself to close this door? No. They are not the only ones who are anxious. Steve, who had just flown back here, also shouted quickly, but because there was no energy, he fell heavily to the ground, then crawled out of the mecha and roared, "No, you still owe me a dance." Sadness, despair, regret. Countless people heard Steve's words. They all choked up. Point they never expected it. Point in the end, just like before, this dance will eventually become a regret. It's not because the two of them were cursed. It's because Peggy, just like Steve in the last video, is doing what she/he thinks is right. That is to sacrifice yourself. To sacrifice yourself for the whole world. At this time, The music gradually became sad, and the familiar music sounded again, as if sinking to the bottom of the sea. Bearing all this alone, the heartstrings of countless people also tightened, so depressed that it's hard to breathe. 1.3 That's right. Saturday night. A smile appeared on Peggy's face. Then she pushed the monster in step by step, and then she gradually disappeared into the light. See this scene. Steve's expression hardened. It was as if the heart had stopped beating. He thought that after Peggy became a super soldier, he could fight forever and fight with his faith. However, all of this has become a dream at this moment. Boom. Earth-shattering explosions resounded throughout the entire space. When the door closed, countless blue energy ripples containing the laws of space washed away, setting off countless dense spreads. Chapter 178. Then the screen zoomed in, and only a blue cosmic Rubik's Cube was left standing there quietly. But there was no sign of Peggy. I saw Steve kneeling blankly in front of the universe Rubik's Cube, and the camera zoomed further and further away, overlooking the entire space from above. Captain America, officially over, as the ending song played. The picture is also frozen at this moment, but countless people have not yet recovered from it. Although in this world, Peggy became a super soldier, but like Steve before her, she resolutely chose to sacrifice herself in order to save the world. She is a hero. She is a heroine who should be respected. Just when countless people fell into a depressed mood. The sound of the dimensional platform sounded. Ding. We are randomly selecting candidates to receive rewards. The words just fell. Countless people looked up. This time, it will be the lucky one's turn. 110. Choose 2 out of 3 rewards. Rather than dancing together, I want to fight side by side with you. She is a hero. Although she was disliked by everyone at first. But it is undeniable that she is also a hero. Yes. Like Steve, she also chose to sacrifice when the world was about to be destroyed. She deserves people's respect. I really hope that the reward this time can draw her. It would be great if I could draw unlimited lives. Then she can dance with Steve. I also hope to be able to draw her. Whether it is in the last video or this video, their dance is a pity. If Captain America hadn't gone back to the past, maybe we wouldn't have been able to see the one they danced with. The picture is over. But those are things that will happen in the future. I want to see them dancing together in reality. I want to see it too. Please draw her on the dimensional platform. We have no chance anyway. When the sound of the dimensional platform sounded. The regrets in the hearts of countless people have been infinitely magnified. Once upon a time, they watched the video of Captain America. From the time the dance fell to the bottom of the sea to 70 years later, they had always felt regret. Even after Peggy died, the regret still remained. Even after the final battle was successful, Captain America chose to stay there and make that dance complete, making up for the regret. But when they saw the regret of that dance again, countless people were praying that Peggy would be rewarded and be able to see them dancing together in real life. It's not just them that thinks so. Steve thought so too. Peggy, I knew my beloved girl was as brave as me. Even though you were doubted by everyone, you still proved with your actions that you are a hero. At this moment. Beside the hospital bed. Steve's eyes were red, and he said to Peggy. In the video just now, what Peggy said before disappearing touched his heart even more. Yes, although I saw myself and Peggy finally dancing that regretful dance in the previous video. But in real life, I can only watch my beloved girl lying on the hospital bed and getting old slowly and may even pass away soon. He was unwilling to give in. And his heart was full of regrets. He hopes that his beloved girl can get a reward. Any reward will do, as long as it can make her young again. That's enough, Steve. Don't feel sorry for me, Peggy said so. But her tears were already flowing. Feeling sorry compared to others, she thought it was enough. At least myself in another world can fight with Steve instead of sitting in the command room and making an appointment with him for the next dance with tears in his eyes. Peggy, don't worry, I believe this time the dimensional platform will definitely recognize you because you are also a hero. Steve squeezed her hand, and placed it against his cheek. Full of love. His beloved girl is also a hero. What a thing to be proud of. Soon. The whole universe is waiting. Who is the random drawing result of the dimensional platform? The main characters appearing in the video, besides Peggy, are Steve, Bucky, Howard and the Red Skull, although many people don't believe that a guy like Red Skull can get rewards, but it's not impossible. After all, the Dimension platform has said that this is a random draw, so many people are praying for Peggy, praying that she can get the reward. Ding. Congratulations to Peggy Carter for winning the reward. Choose 2 rewards from the 3 options below. Peggy Carter. When the sound of the dimensional platform sounded again, countless people opened their eyes wide, and the entire universe seemed to fall into a kind of tranquility. After about a second or 2, the whole universe burst into cheers. Their prayers really worked. It was really Peggy who got the prize. Peggy Carter she actually got the award. That's awesome. Hiss. I knew it would be Peggy Carter who gets the award. Because she is a hero. Like Captain America, she is a hero who can sacrifice herself for the world. She deserves this award. Awesome. This wave of dimensional platform is so reasonable. That's right. If it weren't for Peggy Carter, I guess I would start squirting. Now, I'm starting to get curious. What reward will Peggy get? Is there any reward that can make her younger? I really look forward to seeing her become younger and then have a dance with Captain America on the spot. Really looking forward to it. I bet 10 million galaxy coins. This time, this dance will definitely be successful. Yeah. It's almost fun to watch that perfect dance in the video. In reality, it's called making up for regrets. Countless people began to look forward to it. They are crazy to know what reward Peggy will get, and whether she and Captain America can make up for that dance in reality. The sense of anticipation is spreading, and people are staring at the screen, waiting for the reward options. Soon. A picture of Peggy appeared on the dimensional platform. In the picture, Steve's figure naturally comes into view. When everyone saw Steve looked at Peggy lovingly. The softest corner of my heart seemed to be touched. Only in front of the girl he loves can Steve let go of everything. Outside is Captain America. Here is Steve Rogers, who will always love Peggy. Yes, this man slept for 70 years, and when he woke up, Peggy was already so old. He must also be looking forward to Peggy being young again and staying with him forever. Bless them both. I believe they will make it to the end. Countless people gave their blessings. They didn't expect to see the side of Captain America in this waypoint, but it was really because of this that people saw that, even though Steve had slept for 70 years, he still deeply loved the girl who owed him a dance. Even if she gets old, even if she can't stand again, even if she may leave at any time, Steve has always been deeply in love with her. Romantic forever. When people are still sending comments that fill the screen. There is finally an option in the dimensional platform. Option 1. Guardian Silver Bracelet. It can block arrows and bullets alone, protecting the wearer from stray bullets. When you cross your hands on your chest, it can also trigger a protective force field like a shield to protect the wearer. Protection from all types of attacks. Option 2. Divine Shield. Made of mysterious metal, absorbing the essence of heaven and earth, indestructible, effective in both close combat and long distance defense, and has extremely sharp edges, which can be used as a weapon. Option 3. Blessing of the Goddess. Immediately return to the body's peak state, and greatly improve the body's basic quality, extend life. The recipient can use it themselves, or give it as a gift. Boom, boom, boom. At this moment when people see the reward option, it felt like a huge wave had set off in my heart, and I couldn't calm down for a long time. They all fixed their eyes on the third option, blessings from the goddess. Holy shit, oh shit, oh shit. There is such a reward. Peggy can really become younger. That's great. Immediately return to the peak physical state. Isn't it the time when Peggy was an agent in the previous video? She can finally stand up and dance to music. Hiss. Moreover, this reward can also improve the basic quality of the whole body. Although I don't know how much the increase will be, it is equivalent to a shot of super serum. Look at the back. This reward is actually the same as the paper man Hulk chose before, and can be given to others. Give it to someone else? When people noticed the last paragraph point, there was even more shock and excitement on his face. This is the second item in a long time that can be transferred to others. It's over. It's over. What's going on with my damn heart? Why don't you give this thing to me, Peggy, and I'll kneel down and recognize you as my mother? Which of you was still saying that this thing is the most suitable thing for Peggy? Now you are asking for it one by one. How shameless. Grandma Peggy, I'm your grandson who has been missing for many years. Give me this thing. Everyone at #**, everyone began to waver just a second ago. I was still praying that Peggy would get this award point. The next second I thought I could get this reward. Chapter 179. Nothing else point. The main reason is that this kind of reward is too outrageous. Everyone wants to live their lives again point, especially some people who are happy until the end of their lives. See hope point. But they also know that sending barrages is nothing more than expressing their envy, and Peggy is the only one who makes the choice. Soon point they move their gaze upwards when seeing the first and second rewards. They admitted that they were sour again. First, guard the silver bracelet point. It can protect the wearer from being hurt by stray bullets. This alone is very exciting. After all, on the battlefield, bullets are everywhere. When you want to attack, you have to find the right time. But once you have this, you can basically launch an attack with complete confidence. Moreover, the force field generated by crossing your hands can even repel and scatter enemies. The combined effects make it undoubtedly the best choice for charging into battle. Let's talk about the second divine shield point. It reminds people of Captain America's vibranium shield, even though it is known as one of the hardest metals. But on the final battlefield point, all was chopped into pieces by Thanos. Although this divine shield does not have as many abilities as Captain America's new shield point, but just the fact that it is indestructible is enough to shock people to the extreme. What's even more frightening is that its edges are extremely sharp and can even be used as a weapon. Compared to the blunt blow of a vibranium shield point, the combination of shield and sword of divine power shield should be more consistent. At this moment point, people's faces were filled with shock and envy point. Not a word could come out point. They are all looking forward to what Peggy will choose. I saw it on the dimensional platform point in the screen point. Peggy seemed a little helpless. She never imagined that one day she would be able to receive a reward point. I saw her crying with joy. Her voice was trembling and she hesitated and said to Steve, I got the reward. I can finally continue with you to complete that agreement. Wow. When Peggy said this, countless people suddenly felt an urge to cry welling up from their hearts. His eyes were red and he was so choked that he could not speak point. She still remembers that dance in her heart and the regret of not completing it. Then he saw Steve shed tears and he nodded and replied with tears of joy, yes Peggy, we can finally dance together. Here the words. Peggy looked at the screen point. To the surprise of countless people point, she didn't hesitate, answered directly, I choose 2 and 3. When Peggy finished speaking point, the corners of her mouth raised slightly point. Even though there are many wrinkles in the skin point, but it doesn't affect that she is still beautiful now point. Then listen to her say, but I want to fight with the man I love more. Yes, why doesn't Peggy want to fight side by side with Steve? In the video, his self in another world is seen holding a shield in his hand to protect Steve point. Once upon a time, it was Steve who held the shield to protect himself, but what she wants is for two people to hold shield 613 and fight side by side to protect the world. But when Peggy makes her choice point, the dimensional platform first revealed a beam of light which shone on Peggy's body point. Then in the eyes of countless people in shock and disbelief point, the wrinkles on Peggy's face and hands disappeared at a speed visible to the naked eye, and her hair turned into a jet black color in an instant. The beautiful and charming Peggy Carter, who once only appeared in videos, appeared in reality this time. Steve, I'm really getting younger. Just for a moment point. Peggy sat up directly from the hospital bed point. Then he got off the bed point. Doesn't it look like there are any signs of aging, and the speed of speaking has become more normal? But people are disappointed point. Didn't you say that you should improve the basic quality of your body? Why hasn't it grown bigger like Peggy Carter in another world? Is the increase very small? Strength, speed seem to have become stronger. Just When people are confused. Peggy Carter punch the wall. A spider web crack was created directly. It was confirmed to countless people that her power had indeed become stronger. At this time. Another beam lights up. A round shield appeared in front of Peggy. It looks full of bronzed mystery. And just like the description says, the edges are extremely sharp. Click. Peggy Carter cut the shield downwards, splitting the table into two. And the cutting surface was extremely smooth, as if it had been cut on. Countless people watching the video, and they all felt a chill in their backs. Now that you have this shield. Then Peggy can fight side by side with Steve. Awesome. This is called perfection. Both people have shields. This is what I want to see. Yes. Peggy's words really hit home for me. Rather than dancing with you, I want to fight side by side with you. The love of the shield. It's great. Blessings. And blessings. I really hope that the next video can make us happy again. Yes. The first brand new world is so outrageous. So will there be more outrageous ones in the future? No matter how outrageous or unexpected it is, we will definitely have to wait until tomorrow to find out. Countless people sent their blessings at the same time. I'm also looking forward to how outrageous the next new world will be. But the thought of having to wait another day. The sigh seemed to echo throughout the universe. However, at this moment, an eye-catching subtitle scrolls at the end of the video. The New World of the 8th Dimensional Universe, Star-Lord chapter, will be played in 2 minutes. When people see the subtitle. Everyone can't sit still. 111. 8th, the first chapter of Star-Lord. He's also a superhero. What? It's actually the Star-Lord chapter. Holy crap. Star-Lord is going to be on the list. How is that possible? It's over. It's over. That guy's really on the list. It's so abominable. I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced either. His previous punch is deeply engraved in my mind. Why is he on the list? At this moment. When the final subtitles of the video caught everyone's eyes, the whole universe let out a sigh. They were still looking forward to what would happen in the next new world. But when they saw it was about Star-Lord. Suddenly the previous memories flooded into my mind again. They still remember that Star-Lord's punch led to the final battle. So very dissatisfied. But fortunately it is not on the previous superhero ranking list. Chapter 180. This makes people feel a lot more comfortable. Fortunately, it's not the previous superhero list. It's just the new world list. And maybe Star-Lord will change this time. Yeah, you feel much better when you say that. Maybe the Star-Lord in this new world will be more normal. I'm very curious about what story Star-Lord has. After all, we only know that in the near future, Thanos' daughter Gamora will become his girlfriend. Yes. I'm also curious about what will happen in this world soon. People realize that Star-Lord in this new world may also have a change in selection, like Captain America in the previous video, or he may be a new mutant like Loki. So they began to look forward to what unexpected stories would happen to Star-Lord in this new world. It's me. It's me. That's great. Shanda. Prison. At this moment. Star-Lord was so excited that he couldn't breathe. His face turned red, and he kept waving his arms, but he didn't dare to shout too loudly. Even trying to control his voice. Because since the last video, everyone wanted to beat him when they saw him. They even let out shocking cheers when they saw themselves being beaten unconscious in the hidden video. In other words, Star-Lord now simply doesn't dare to be as embarrassed as he was at the beginning. After all, he has made too many enemies in the universe. I'm afraid that the fun will be over by accident. So now he's on the list. You have to be more careful not to talk nonsense and try hard not to send barrages. It's actually you? I really didn't expect it. Aside. Gamora looked at Star-Lord with disgust. The words are also full of disbelief. Once upon a time. She told Star-Lord that his chances of being on the list were about the same as her chances of being his girlfriend. But now this sentence really comes true. In the future, I really became his girlfriend, and now he is really on the list. I can't help but worry about my future. Will he be despised by the entire universe? She does not know. So I turned my attention to the dimensional platform and wanted to know what Star-Lord was like. Soon. Time passed by minute. Countless people are eager to know what will happen in the new world. At this time. The time has finally arrived. Everyone can't wait to click on the newly released video, along with the quiet soft music. The video finally starts. Whoops. Whoops. Countless roars that broke through the air resounded. In the picture, space battleships cut through the quiet starry sky one after another. But when the camera zooms out. What's more, an extremely huge space carrier came into people's eyes, which brought a huge visual impact to people, and a chill suddenly rose in their hearts, which was extremely shocking. Gudan. See the situation. The viewers who were watching the video swallowed hard. And it was hard not to think that a war was about to begin. The sense of expectation in my heart was filled at this moment. What happened to cause this fight? Immediately afterwards, Lin Lan's deep and magnetic voice came from the video. The next step is to take stock of the 8th new world of the multiverse, the first chapter of Star-Lord, the real world. He is not bad in nature. Although he often steals and is selfish, he resolutely chooses to give up his own interests in the face of great right and wrong. He is a thief with a bottom line, and he also has an unknown side. When facing the end of the world, or even the end of the entire universe, he chooses to stand up, and may even sacrifice himself, and he doesn't care. He's half human and half god. Not counting his faults, he's also a superhero. Wow. When Lin Lan finished speaking. The whole universe is in an uproar. They didn't expect that the Star-Lord chapter was actually divided into 2 chapters. I didn't expect that the previous chapter was actually about Star-Lord in the real world. However, when they heard the author's evaluation of Star-Lord, they all froze in place. Give up your own interests, even choose to sacrifice yourself. Demigod, superhero, these words all impact the vision and even the brains of countless people like a powerful force. How can this be? Countless people's faces were full of shock and disbelief. It felt like a huge wave had set off in my heart, and I couldn't calm down for a long time. No matter what, they don't believe that this is actually Star-Lord's label? Holy crap. Star-Lord would actually give up his own interests and even choose to sacrifice himself? Did I hear that right? I'm so stupid. He will sacrifice himself? Also, is he a demigod? Isn't he just an ordinary thief? That's right. He can actually be called a superhero? Author, are you kidding me? I think the author must be teasing us. There is absolutely no way Star-Lord is like this. I thought Iron Man was impossible before. Maybe Star-Lord is really like this. Countless people feel that their outlook on life has collapsed. 1 second he was complaining about Star-Lord. The next second he said, Star-Lord is also a superhero. Please, how is that possible? Countless people scratched their heads and couldn't think of anything Star-Lord could do to save the world. But when they think of Iron Man being on the list, no one believed it either. The end result was a slap in the face. So their curiosity runs wild. Is the author just talking nonsense, or is Star-Lord really unexpected? It's not just them. Even Star-Lord, who was watching the video, was shocked. Good guy. Am I actually half human, half god, or a superhero? That's right. Star-Lord himself didn't believe the author's assessment. Shock was written on his face. Then he looked at Gamora, the raccoon, the tree man, and the destroyer. They were all stagnant in place. Not a word was said. When Star-Lord saw the situation, he did not disturb them. At this moment, his blood was boiling all over his body. Because he knew that after this video, he might be able to turn around. Let's see who dares to scold him. So I stared at the barrage on the screen and continued reading. Very good. The Star-Lord chapter is divided into 2 chapters. It can be enjoyable to watch, and at the same time, understand what different changes have taken place in the new world. Yes, I want to see if the Star-Lord is what the author said. If so, I swear I will never criticize Star-Lord again. Yes, I also want to know why he is a demigod. Isn't his father Yondu the Hearts of countless people finally calmed down. And the video continues. Noises and boiling sounds resounded. A planet covered with dense buildings came into everyone's sight. In video. Star-Lord and his group landed on the planet. And in his hand, he was holding a cosmic spirit ball. See this scene. Countless people understood that this was what happened after Star-Lord was released from prison, and it seems that they plan to sell this cosmic spirit ball. Huh? Isn't he still like that? He's just a thief. All he cares about is money. This spirit ball is a power gem. He may not know that this is a power gem. Keep looking. Maybe there will be a turn for the better. Some people started to get restless, even after watching it for a few seconds. I think Star-Lord is too sloppy in his work. Chapter 181. I don't even know what the things in my hands are, so I just sell them casually. This is completely inconsistent with what the author said. Fortunately, some people choose to continue to wait and see. Guess there will be a turn for the better soon. In the video, Star-Lord and a group of people came to the bar and waited for the seller. While waiting, Star-Lord also had a heart-to-heart talk with Gamora, even putting his headphones on her head. At this moment, the song playing in the headphones sounded in the background, and the atmosphere suddenly became magical. Under the shocked eyes of countless people, the two held hands, their faces got closer and closer, and their lips almost kissed. Isn't it? Gamora was picked up by Star-Lord like this? It's like a cabbage being picked up by a pig. What a pity. How could Gamora fall in love with him? It makes my teeth itch with anger. Gamora, wake up. Don't be fooled by him. Countless people are very anxious, worried for Gamora. I didn't expect that she would be picked up by Star-Lord like this. Just when people lamented and felt it was a pity. The music suddenly becomes tight. It shocked countless people. Gamora pushed him away with her backhand, grabbed Star-Lord's ear with one hand and shouted angrily, "What a beautiful idea. I know your virtue, and I'm not a girl full of innocent fantasies who will be seduced by you." See this scene. Countless people breathed a sigh of relief. I was glad that Gamora didn't make a mistake. Just as the two of them walked out side by side. The silky transition appears again. The surrounding scene changes, and when people see this scene, his face was full of shock and disbelief. My heart is overflowing like a tsunami, constantly impacting my heart. OMG, is this a museum? Is this the place where collectors place their collections? No wonder they were able to find a buyer. It turned out to be a collector. I saw countless transparent display cabinets arranged from bottom to top. In addition to animals and antiques, there are all kinds of things inside. It shocked the hearts of countless people. In addition to special hobby collectibles, other collectibles are all extremely valuable, and it's hard not to be excited. And they also use this to know who their buyers are. Be a collector. Let me introduce you to Collector Tenlol Tefan, only seen in the lens. The maid led everyone deep into the exhibition hall. When she raised her hands in the air and spoke excitedly. The collector also appears in the picture. I saw that he had white hair and was wearing something similar to a black and white mink velvet coat. He took off his glasses and said slowly, "Oh, dear Gamora, it's so wonderful to meet you in person. Stop talking about these scenes, Tefan. We got what we promised before." When Gamora answered. The background music also became extremely intense and high-pitched at this moment. There is a feeling that people can't wait to know. The scene changes. Everyone gathered around a table. On the table, a sophisticated instrument was dismantling the cosmic spirit ball, and a dazzling purple light burst out. At the same time, the collector and everyone introduced the origin of the cosmic spirit ball, which was one of the 6 original Infinity Stones. And they were also shown a scene of the Power Stone destroying a planet. They were shocked. Click. Just as everyone stared blankly at the scene of the Power Stone destroying the planet. Precision instruments have completely dismantled the cosmic spirit ball and revealed the power gem containing the energy to destroy the world. Boom. Sudden. What everyone didn't expect was the maid reached out and held the Power Stone. The burst of energy directly destroyed it into ashes and suddenly destroyed the entire museum. The blast wave blasted everyone away. When they got up from the ground with difficulty. The eyes are full of horror. Only now do they truly realize that the power of this cosmic spirit ball is too terrifying. We have to hand this thing over to the Nova Corps. Maybe they have the ability to control it. I saw Gamora taking out the cosmic spirit ball from the museum. Express your opinions to everyone. Wang Deheo. After all, this thing is too terrifying. Once it is not controlled well, maybe next time it will not be as simple as a museum explosion. You kidding me? We are wanted criminals of the Nova Corps. Leave it to Ronan. Aside. Rocket Raccoon retorted. Obviously this choice is not a good one. It's better to hand it over to Ronan. Then he can stop being hunted by him and maybe have a reliable ally. I saw Rocket Raccoon looking at Star-Lord. Everyone who was watching the video was also staring closely at Star-Lord. I want to know how he chooses. Should he leave it to Ronan, or, as the author said, give up his own interests in the face of great rights and wrongs? Then he can destroy the entire galaxy. Star-Lord's rhetorical question seemed to give everyone the answer. He actually agreed with Gamora. He is actually worried that Ronan will destroy the galaxy with the Power Stone. But at this moment the opening scene appeared. One after another, space battleships cut through the quiet starry sky and arrived here. The background music also sounded tight and dangerous. Now people finally know. These battleships are Ronan's subordinates, here to snatch the cosmic spirit ball. But at this moment Gamora, Star-Lord and others escaped in a spaceship. But what no one expected was Gamora's ship was bombed into countless pieces and she is like a corpse floating in space. See this scene. People's nerves were tense. My heart jumped into my throat. They couldn't imagine it. Gamora actually died like this. However, as countless people think Gamora will eventually die from lack of oxygen. Star-Lord's actions made countless people widen their eyes. Would he really sacrifice himself for Gamora? Strong. 112. Star-Lord is actually willing to sacrifice himself. Death of Groot. Boom. There was an explosion. All of Gamora's spaceships became fragments and scattered in space. And she herself was floating like a corpse. The background music at this time gradually became sad and desperate. It made the heartstrings of countless people tighten. Quill, let's go. Her body structure should allow her to live for a few more minutes, but there is nothing we can do. These capsules cannot fly out. Soon, we will be like her. At this time Rocket Raccoon's voice sounded. It makes countless hearts heavier. Chapter 182. Could they just watch Gamora die in front of them and be unable to do anything? However, just when Rocket Raccoon was about to leave, countless people were desperate. I saw Star-Lord yelling into the walkie-talkie. Yondu. Yondu. I'm Quill. My coordinates are 227K 324. It's just outside the void. If you hear it, come to me, and I'll follow you. Finished. Star-Lord completely ignored Rocket Raccoon's dissuasion. After putting on the proprietary mask, he flew directly out of the spaceship. Then under the shocked eyes of countless people, Star-Lord came to Gamora, took off a mask that could supply oxygen, and put it on her face. See this scene. The faces of those watching the video showed expressions of shock, sadness, and disbelief. They couldn't imagine it. A selfish Star-Lord who puts his own interests first. Would you actually choose to sacrifice yourself for one person? Boom. The hearts of countless people were beating crazily, as if they had been struck violently. As the author said, he can sacrifice himself. He actually planned to sacrifice himself to save Gamora. I thought his feelings for Gamora were just for fun. I didn't expect that Star-Lord was different from the Star-Lord in my impression. This time he didn't put his own interests first. Maybe he really is, as the author said, when facing the world crisis, he can come forward. Yes, Star-Lord may be different from what we imagined. But how can a thief save the world? I don't quite understand this. I can't imagine how he can save the world. But didn't the author say that he is a demigod? Maybe it has something to do with this. Hey, if you didn't tell me, I would have forgotten why Star-Lord is a demigod. I guess I'll explain it later. But now I just want to know how Star-Lord survived. He can't die. This moment. Many people's views on Star-Lord have changed. I used to think that he was selfish, just a thief, and even very frivolous towards women. But now he would rather sacrifice himself to let Gamora survive. It can't help but make people sit up and take notice. This also worries people. No more oxygen masks. How on earth did Star-Lord survive? However, just when everyone was falling into worry and anxiety, the background sounds as grand and majestic as a hero's debut. Suddenly, everyone who was originally in despair raised their heads and stared at the screen. Only a few beams of light illuminated the entire quiet space. A huge spaceship comes into view, and Yondu's figure appeared in the cockpit of the spaceship. It's Yondu, Star-Lord's father. Great. Finally saved. I knew Star-Lord couldn't die. I still want to see him become a superhero. Yes. Now the cosmic spirit ball has been snatched away by Ronan's men. Something big will definitely happen later. Star-Lord will definitely stop Ronan. When Yondu shows up, everyone breathed a sigh of relief. But they also realized that the cosmic spirit ball had been taken away by Ronan's men. Something big will definitely happen next. At this time, the video continues. We have to stop Ronan. In the spaceship. Star-Lord and others gathered together again. When Gamora said these words, Rocket Raccoon asked directly, how to stop it? Joke. Now Ronan has obtained the cosmic spirit orb. It would only take the blink of an eye to destroy Xander. How could just a few of them stop him? So Rocket Raccoon was full of anger at this time. Thinking they were sending themselves to death. I have a plan. I don't believe you have a plan at all. When Star-Lord said it, Rocket Raccoon retorted again. After all, the guy in front of me didn't look like someone who could make plans last time. No matter how Star-Lord explains it, Rocket Raccoon, Gamora and others don't think it's feasible. The former even laughed out loud. See this scene. People didn't laugh as hard as Rocket Raccoon did. Instead, they stared at Star-Lord's face. They seemed to see a perseverance and seriousness that had never appeared on his face before. In other words, Star-Lord really wants to stop Ronan. Looking at each other, you know what I see? Losers. I mean, a bunch of people who have lost a lot. We've lost so much. Guys, we all have a home, our family, a normal life. Usually, life takes away more than it gives, but today is different. Today, it has given us something. It has given us a chance. Opportunity to do what? Do a good thing. Just this once. Don't run away. I won't watch Ronan kill thousands of innocent people. Wow. When Star-Lord said these words, the background music ignited, as if people could see a rebellious young man turning around and trying hard to be a new person. In an instant, the viewers who were watching the video were even more moved. Star-Lord is really trying to get better, really moving in a better direction. The thought of this, people have more confidence in the author's evaluation. They believe Star-Lord can really become a superhero. However, the following conversation once again made people's hearts extremely heavy. But, Quill, stopping Ronan is impossible. You're asking us to die. At this time, Rocket Raccoon replied lowly. He's not a spoiler, it is a conclusion drawn after carefully considering the facts with just a few of them. It is almost impossible to fight against Ronan, who has the Power Stone. Yes, it is indeed like this. Silence. Not only Star-Lord and others were silent. Even the people watching the video fell silent. That's right. I really can't think of any way to fight Ronan. You need equipment, but you don't have equipment. You need strength, but you don't have power, just like Rocket Raccoon said. Just die. Is it really the only way to give up? At this time, Lin Lan's narration voice sounded. It immediately ignited people's hopes. This time, Star-Lord stopped running away and realized that this time he could finally do something good. But will he give up like this? Of course not. Although he knows that stopping Ronan will undoubtedly lead to death. When the world or even the entire universe is in danger, he will step forward without hesitation, even if he sacrifices himself. But Lin Lan just finished speaking. Everyone in the universe who is watching the video seems to have seen hope, breathing rapidly, and every pore in the body is expanding. My heart was beating like a huge wave, and the sense of anticipation is full at this moment. I want to know how Star-Lord and the others stopped Ronan. I have been fighting enemies for most of my life. I will be grateful to be able to die with my friends. Just when everyone was silent, Gamora stood up. Then came the Destroyer and Groot, with the background music gradually getting more exciting. People who are watching the video feel their blood boiling, and their hearts are full of respect, even if Star-Lord and others knew that stopping Ronan would be equivalent to death. But will they give up like this and watch innocent lives being killed by Ronan? Question mark. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 183. Of course not. They are going to die with their friends, not just Star-Lord. They're all heroes. That's right. They are all superheroes. For the sake of all lives on Xander, they will not flinch, even if they know death. Salute to them. Even if you sacrifice yourself, you won't hesitate. This may be the biggest thing that superheroes have in common. Just when people paid high respect to Star-Lord and others only seen in the video. Star-Lord walked in front. Gamora and others walked behind. It's hard not to think of the scene where the Avengers were preparing to travel to the past. The background music gradually becomes low but extremely powerful, like ants marching, fearlessly attacking the giant. Even though it is small, it never flinches. The scene changes. A huge space carrier blocks out the sky and the sun. Appearing in the sky above Xander with extremely terrifying pressure. Just a glance. Everyone who is watching the video feels as if they are watching a huge steel beast. Their whole bodies are shaking uncontrollably. Their spines are chilling and their scalps are numb. The scene is extremely shocking. However, when one space battleship after another flew towards Ronan's space mothership from another direction. Countless people feel their blood boiling. It's Star-Lord and the Marauders led by Yondu. Boom. Yondu's space mothership fired two orange light bombs, which exploded in front of Ronan's mothership, forming an orange light curtain that covered the sky and the sun, directly blocking his sight. Use this opportunity. Star-Lord and others came directly under Ronan's mothership. Use firepower to open a gap. Then Star-Lord and others rushed in the spaceship, and with the help of the Nova Corps successfully entered the gap and came to the interior of Ronan's space carrier. At the same time, Ronan's huge space carrier wants to force a landing, even though the Nova Legion's warships formed a large net to trap it. But it cannot be sustained for a long time. If Star-Lord and others do not succeed, then Xander is truly over. At this time, the background music began to be fast and compact, which made countless people feel a huge sense of crisis. They all stared at the top of the screen with bated breath, praying in their hearts that they could successfully stop Ronan. I saw Star-Lord and others continuing to move forward. Met Nebula. And with her obstruction. Everyone slowed down. But why would Ronan wait for them? Just when Star-Lord and others were dragged by Nebula. The camera came to Ronan. I saw him growling with great disdain. That's enough. Necron fighter pilot. Activate impact attack mode. When Ronan gave the order, the camera zooms high into the sky. Ronan's fleet was seen hitting the ground one after another. Every warship fell and exploded. In an instant. Countless flames shot up into the sky across the Xander planet. Thick smoke billowed and howled, and the explosive shock wave knocked the people who were running away madly to the ground one after another, with expressions of horror and despair on their faces. At this time, the background music is getting faster and faster. Let people's hearts beat crazily. It's like a countdown. Countless people feel a strong sense of crisis when the screen came to the inside of the space carrier again. Star-Lord and others have arrived at the control room of the mothership. And Ronan's figure also caught people's eyes. He turned his back to everyone and looked at the entire Xander planet, already thinking that the entire planet would be destroyed under his attack. Then slowly turned around. When people see the hammer in his hand. My heart suddenly trembled. What is blooming with light above is the power gem, but to their great surprise. Without hesitation, Star-Lord fired a cannonball containing extremely terrifying energy at Ronan. Boom. Earth-shattering explosions resounded through the sky, and the shells exploded on Ronan's body accurately. The billowing white smoke swept away and roared, and the shock wave caused Star-Lord and others in the distance to be pushed back several steps. Just when Star-Lord and others thought they had really succeeded in killing Ronan. But I never thought that the figure stood up again. Suddenly, Star-Lord and others' hearts trembled, and they all looked at each other, seeing the despair in each other's eyes. Boom. Ronan said nothing. A shock wave immediately blew them away. And he personally directed the huge space carrier to dive toward the ground. Although Rocket Raccoon tried to come to save them, it was still to no avail. It can only follow the mothership and hit the ground. There is only one end. That is death. The background music also gradually became sad. Just when people thought they were all going to die this time. I saw branches constantly growing on Groot's body, and with a little bit of starlight, many branches quickly grew. See this scene. Countless people know it. Groot wanted to protect them. But the consequence, as Rocket Raccoon said, is that he will die. But will Groot stop? No, of course it won't stop. I saw that it seemed to be exerting all its strength to stimulate the growth of the branches. With a little starlight, it formed a huge ball, wrapping them inside. Sad and touching. People watching the video choked up. There seems to be 1,000 words in my heart that are hard to describe. Groot is also a hero. At this time. The music stopped abruptly. The camera cuts outside. I saw Ronan's huge space mothership hit the ground of Xandar with extremely terrifying power. It immediately set off a wave of sand and dust that reached the sky, destroying countless buildings and bringing extremely terrifying consequences to people. The visual impact can only be described as shocking. The scene cuts to the exit of the spacecraft. When Ronan slowly walked out of the exit. Everyone present had a look of horror on their faces, and the people who were watching the video became nervous inside. They are angry, they roar, they hope Star-Lord can avenge Groot. Is this your Guardians of the Galaxy? What can they do? At this time. Ronan mocked and raised high the hammer inlaid with the power gem in his hand. When the destruction is about to begin, Star-Lord suddenly stood up. In an instant. Countless spectators who were still in despair saw this scene. They all became excited. Is Star-Lord planning to stop Ronan? But how on earth can he stop it? Their anticipation reached its peak at this moment, staring at Star-Lord intently. 113. Holding the Power Stone with their bare hands, they are a superhero group. Star-Lord is standing up. Is he going to stop Ronan? It must be. The author said that he can be considered a superhero. He will definitely stand up. Hiss. I'm really impressed by him now. Star-Lord is really a real man. How on earth did he stop Ronan? Is it possible that he is about to reach his potential? After all, he is a demigod. Wow. At this moment, chapter 184. When people see Star-Lord stand up. They all jumped up from their seats in excitement. They speculated and looked forward to where the Star-Lord would unleash his body's potential at this time. After all, in the review, the author said that he is a demigod. Until now, I haven't seen how he looks like a god. Then there is only one truth. That must be what stimulated him. That's right. Countless people have made such guesses. With confidence. Curiosity spread like crazy. Everyone is looking forward to what will happen next. But at this moment. The background music changed from the original tension and crisis to a cheerful song. Everyone who was watching the video suddenly froze in place. Obviously had no idea what was going on. But just when the camera followed Ronan's gaze. Everyone is stupid, completely dumbfounded. Star-Lord stood up, but did not awaken his potential or use any plan to stop Ronan as everyone suspected. Instead, he stood in front of Ronan and danced for his own entertainment. That's right. Dance at #**. I just said that I admire Star-Lord with admiration. Good guy, you are fucking dancing at this critical moment. I'm so angry. You damn thing is so surprising. Even if you danced when you stole the spirit ball, you actually danced when you stopped Ronan? Oh my god, I really couldn't see it. I'm convinced. Is it possible that you can stop Ronan by dancing? What on earth are you doing? It's not just the viewers who are watching the video. Even Ronan was dumbfounded. Just now, he was full of anger and said words that wanted to destroy them. In the end, this idiot actually dared to dance in front of him. Shame. This is a huge shame. Ronan slowly put down the hammer in his hand, looked at Star-Lord as if he were a loser, and then asked contemptuously, "What are you doing? Let's dance. Dude, it's just the two of us." When Star-Lord said these words, Ronan became even more angry. He roared in a low voice, "What on earth are you doing?" Helpless and sighing. Everyone watching the video sighed. Fortunately, they were so excited just now and pinned their hopes on this full. It seems that the payment was made in error, but right now. The music changed from cheerful dance music to extremely compact, as if something terrible was about to happen, leaving everyone who bowed their heads and sighed in confusion. Is it possible that dancing can still stop Ronan? What a joke. But what they didn't expect was when Ronan asked again. This time Star-Lord gave a completely different answer. "I'm distracting you, you big-faced guy." When Star-Lord said this, the camera turned to the side. When the destroyer pointed his weapon at Ronan, there were expressions of shock and disbelief on countless people's faces. "Good guy. It turns out he was dancing to distract himself, so I can use this to attack Ronan." But someone quickly reacted. "Even if he attacks Ronan, what's the use? I attacked him in front of him on the spaceship before, but failed to knock him down. Although his dancing is very spiritual, a frontal attack on the spacecraft is useless, let alone a sneak attack." Yes, and the weapons used are the same. Ronan can't be defeated. Although the idea is good, the reality is cruel. Wait, look. The target of their attack is not Ronan, just when countless people feel pity. A barrage instantly attracted their attention. When they looked closely, only then did he realize that the destroyer was not targeting Ronan, but the hammer in his hand. Holy crap. They're aiming for the hammer, the power stone. That's it. They want to steal the power stone so they can stop Ronan. Wow. What a good plan. Countless people's pupils dilated rapidly, their breathing became rapid, and their blood suddenly felt boiling. They never expected it. It turns out that Star-Lord and others' plan has changed from defeating Ronan to stealing the power stone. Very good, very smart. In the video, when Rocket Raccoon was powered on, the destroyer fired cannonballs at the hammer without hesitation. Suddenly the video seemed to have been slowed down 10 times. The moment the cannonball hit the hammer, it immediately turned into countless fragments and dissipated into the sky, and the power gem also flew out. The camera came to the side of Star-Lord and Ronan. Star-Lord jumped up and wanted to snatch the power stone from Ronan, but people noticed. Star-Lord doesn't have any protective measures. I couldn't help but think of the collector's maid who exploded and died. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. By doing this, he was truly committing suicide. Star-Lord. No, holy shit. You're going to die by doing this. Star-Lord. Enough. You have done enough. In my heart you are already a hero. Don't go and die. Anxious, desperate. The music became extremely exciting, although they know that Star-Lord will definitely die if he does this, but there is no doubt that they also hope that Star-Lord can grab the power stone in an instant. Countless people held their breaths, feeling sad and despairing, and at the same time praying in their hearts that Star-Lord could grab the gem. But at this moment, boom, earth-shattering explosions resounded at a speed 10 times slower in the eyes of countless people looking forward to it. Star-Lord, he did it. I saw him holding the power gem tightly, and suddenly the energy that destroyed the world spewed out from it, blooming with extremely dazzling purple light, forming circles and circles of dense clouds mixed with purple halo, spreading, setting off the terrifying energy storm swept away in all directions. Star-Lord's extremely miserable screams resounded. It was like a sharp knife cutting into people's hearts again and again. Following his cry, they felt incomparable pain and trembling. Then I saw large scars on Star-Lord's hands and face, as if he was about to explode and die at any time. See this scene. Countless people felt pain and heavy heart at the same time. In their minds, I'm convinced that it is exactly what the author said. Star-Lord is really willing to sacrifice himself for the safety of the world and even the universe, grieving, sobbing. Those who didn't believe Star-Lord at first shed tears. Just seeing Star-Lord made me feel painful. How painful would it be for him to endure it? They dare not imagine. Star-Lord is really a hero. For the sake of the safety of the world, holding the power stone with his bare hands is something that many people would not dare to do. Yeah, last time the maid held it and exploded to death. Star-Lord will probably end up like this too. Is Star-Lord really going to die like this? I suddenly discovered that this guy is quite interesting. It's such a pity. Chapter 185. Wait, look. Something seems to be wrong. Just when countless people were preparing to mourn for Star-Lord, a barrage instantly attracted their attention. Moreover, the background music gradually turned up, causing every pore in their bodies to expand. They were full of anticipation at this moment, wanting to know what exactly happened. Whoops. Whoops. The terrifying energy storm raged, and Star-Lord's face began to break apart as he held the power stone. Just when he thought he was going to die, a voice woke him up. Hold my hand. Boom, boom, boom. When people heard Gamora's words, there was a look of horror on his face. My heart was beating crazily like a stormy sea. They never imagined that Gamora would say this to Star-Lord. Doesn't she know that she will die by doing this? But just when the eyelids of countless people were beating, Star-Lord was seen holding Gamora's hand tightly. The latter was instantly like him, with a dazzling purple light erupting all over his body, and cracks appeared. But what no one expected was the Destroyer resisted the energy storm and walked towards Star-Lord step by step, and he put his hand on Star-Lord's body, showing the same painful expression as Gamora. See this scene. Countless people's eyes were red. What they saw seemed to be more than just a few mortals, but a team of heroes to save the world. However, when the camera zoomed in on the Destroyer's left hand, a small palm made countless people break their defenses and shed tears. Even Rocket Raccoon chose to share the power of the Power Stone with them at this moment. This is how much you trust your teammates. That's what they say. It's an honor to die with your friends. This is the Guardians of the Galaxy. This is the team of heroes who save the world. Once upon a time, they were either thieves or doing bad things, but now they hold each other's hands to save the world. They really answered that sentence. This time, they can finally do something good. Zero ask for flowers. Yeah. One Star-Lord can't do it, then add Gamora. If Gamora can't do it, add Destroyer. Even Rocket Raccoon, who always said he wanted to abandon his teammates and leave alone, couldn't help but join them. I'm on fire. Burn. It's on fire. Countless people saw this scene. They wiped away their tears and clenched their fists as if they were sharing the energy of the Power Stone with them. They prayed and believed that they would succeed. But the purple energy storm is still raging. But the expressions of the four people are no longer painful, and under the shocked and excited eyes of countless people, the four of them looked at Ronan with slightly raised corners of their mouths, as if to show him that they had succeeded. You are just mortals. How is this possible? Ronan growled in shock. Obviously he was stunned by this scene. They were obviously just four ordinary guys. Why can it withstand the power gem's devastating energy? This unscientific. You said it yourself. BITC*. We are the Guardians of the Galaxy. Boom, boom, boom. When Star-Lord said these words, countless people even felt a sense of relief rising straight from their hearts to Shinlinge. That's right. They are the Guardians of the Galaxy. It's a team that protects the entire galaxy, although only a mortal, but together they have unlimited possibilities. Boom. An astonishing explosion sounded, and Star-Lord used the power of the Power Stone without hesitation to launch a purple ray containing terrifying energy, which bombarded Ronan's body and annihilated him into ashes in the lightning flash. Exploded and died. Countless purple energy ripples washed away, and the shock waves that erupted were layer upon layer, setting off a wave of sand and dust that reached the sky and rolled away into the distance. When Gamora put the power gem into the spirit ball again, the purple energy storm disappeared instantly, and everyone returned to normal. At this moment, when Gamora and Star-Lord looked at each other affectionately, but he never thought that Yondu and others would come here. Obviously, he came here to get the cosmic spirit ball. You can't give it to him. You have to think carefully. Gamora dissuaded. But what she didn't expect was Star-Lord still gave it to Yondu. Yondu, who got the cosmic spirit ball, retreated with his men. And showed a bright smile on the spacecraft. Well, Quill will be pretty good when he grows up, perhaps. His father hired us to pick him up, but we were right not to send him back to his father's place. When the men next to Yondu said these words, people watching the video gasped. Originally, they were guessing that Star-Lord's father was someone else. I didn't expect it to be true. Holy crap, who is Star-Lord's father? Is he a god? It must be. Didn't you notice that Star-Lord was holding the Power Stone just now? If he were a mortal, he would have died long ago. But he persisted for so long. It shows that he is not simple. Yes. But it's a pity that he still gave the cosmic spirit ball to Yondu. No. Look. He didn't do that. Didn't do this. Countless people are curious. When they saw Star-Lord take out another cosmic spirit ballpoint, everyone suddenly realized. It turns out that what Star-Lord just gave to Yondu was actually a fake. Then we saw that Star-Lord handed over the cosmic spirit ball to Xander's Nova Core. See here. Countless people are very satisfied. They watched Star-Lord grow up along the way. Finally. At this moment, I became a real superhero, and also had a group of superheroes. At this time, the picture is also frozen in this scene. And the ending song played. It makes people feel unsatisfied. They don't know who Star-Lord's father is yet, and they don't know what will happen next. It's like countless ants crawling inside. He even lowered his head in despair. However, when Lin Lan's voice sounded, they all looked up and stared at the top of the video, as if they were excited again. The first chapter of the Star-Lord arc is over, and then comes the second chapter of the Star-Lord arc. If Star-Lord is not Peter Jason Quill, what? Star-Lord is not Peter Jason Quill. Who else could it be? Countless people are full of expectations again. If Captain America is not Steve, they can still guess a few candidates. But you told me that Star-Lord is not Peter Jason Quill. They really can't guess it, so they stared at the screen, waiting for the video to reveal the answer to them. Factory 114. Black Panther T'Challa became Star-Lord, and he actually stopped Thanos. How about it? I knew I was a superhero too. I'm a superhero. Chapter 186. Hey, keep your voice down. Why are you so excited? At this moment. Inside the prison. Star-Lord felt extremely excited. I was still trembling with fear just a moment ago. Dare not speak. Now, after watching the video. Only then did he realize that he had stopped Ronan and saved the world. He couldn't help but hold the cosmic spirit ball tightly in his hand, thinking that it would be better to hand this thing directly to the Nova Corps. Maybe we should hand it over to the Nova Corps so Ronan won't dare attack Xander. Star-Lord thought of what he said in the video, that he could do something good this time. I feel extremely proud inside. Of course. He wanted to show off in front of Gamora even more. Hear the words Gamora, Rocket Raccoon, Tree Man, Destroyer and countless others imprisoned in prison. They all turned their attention to Star-Lord. I really didn't expect that this guy was really willing to sacrifice his own interests and even his life. I couldn't help but look at him with admiration. Do you really want to give this thing to the Nova Corps? This thing can be exchanged for 4 billion. As long as you sell it to the collector and remind him that his maid will rebel, you can get 4 billion. We will split it equally. Just one click and you'll be happy for a long time, Rocket Raccoon said anxiously. Although he is also very proud that he finally joined them and became a hero. But now that we know what will happen in the future. You can completely avoid all this, then take the money and live a happy life. Not to mention. He didn't want Groot to die, even if it eventually comes back to life. But he couldn't bear to see June 17th. Just when Star-Lord and others were deep in thought, deciding whether to hand it over to the Nova Corps, a scrolling subtitle immediately caught their attention. The first chapter of the Star-Lord arc is over, and then comes the second chapter of the Star-Lord arc. If Star-Lord is not Peter Jason Quill, what? It's not me. Who else could it be? At this moment, Star-Lord's face showed shock. Compared to Captain America, he thinks he is irreplaceable. Not just himself. Everyone in the universe thinks so. Wait a minute. If Star-Lord isn't this guy who likes to dance, who else could he be? Don't tell me it's Rocket Raccoon. Hiss. That's right. I can't think of any replacement candidates. Among them, only Star-Lord looks like an Earthling. I don't know what race the other ones are. Damn. This wave is really unexpected. It's getting more and more interesting. I can't wait to find out. Yes. I don't think we can guess it this time. We can only ask the author to give us an explanation. Please, give the author an explanation. Countless people are analyzing who can replace Peter Quill. But after thinking for a long time, I still couldn't find a suitable candidate. The sense of anticipation and curiosity is full at this moment. They all stared at the dimensional platform. I can't wait to know who the Star-Lord is in the new world. At this moment. When the subtitles scroll and disappear from the video. Lin Lan's voice also sounded. Next, let's take a look at the next chapter of Star-Lord, A Whole New World. A Small action can change a person's trajectory and destiny. If Star-Lord is not Peter Quill, what story will happen in this new world? Lin Lan just finished speaking. Soft piano music started playing. Then the same familiar scene appeared on the screen. The magnificent and shocking purple nebula is reflected in the sky, surrounded by ruins and ruins, also showing a charming lavender color. It looks like an ancient ruins, full of glorious past. At this time, a figure slowly came from a distance. When people see this familiar figure, he couldn't help but frown. There are many questions in my mind. Wait a minute, isn't this Peter Quill? He looks exactly the same. Yes, he seems to have come here to seize the spirit ball. It feels the same as what he did before. No, look carefully. He's not dancing. Good guy. It's true. Finally, I can't see that dance that deserves to be beaten anymore. Just when people are doubtful, a barrage immediately cleared up the confusion. That's right. In the video, Star-Lord is wearing the same equipment. There was no dancing. What does this mean? It means the person under the equipment is definitely not Peter Quill. You know that in the previous video, they had seen with their own eyes the scene of this guy dancing and then being beaten unconscious. So countless people began to look forward to it. Who is this Star-Lord? Soon, Star-Lord came to the palace. Used something with strong attraction to attract the cosmic spirit ball. But at this moment, the background music suddenly became terrifying. A voice came from behind. Put it down. Put it down immediately. Who are you? The camera zooms in. I saw 3 men with spears rushing in. They were obviously Ronan's men. But Star-Lord did not panic at all and responded calmly. Who? Me. I'm just an ordinary gentleman, but there is a name you may know. Star-Lord said as he walked forward. The camera also zooms in on his face. I saw him placing his hand on the switch of the mask. Then the light and shadow dissipated. In the expectant eyes of countless people, his true face was finally revealed. But when people saw clearly who he was, the whole universe was shocked. What? It's actually him? Black Panther? Oh my god. Isn't it so dreamy? Dear me. Why is it him? You made me think hard and never thought it was him. Hi. How did he become Star-Lord? I think it's impossible. Sure enough, as the author said, it is absolutely unexpected. This time is not only unexpected, I feel that it has directly shattered my 3 views. Isn't Black Panther living well in Wakanda? How did he come to be a star outside the earth? It's noble Star-Lord. Good guy. Black Panther became me. How is this possible? Black Panther. Nothing is impossible. Everything is possible in the new world. I also want to know how I became you. I'm looking forward to it. I beg the author for an explanation. I really want to know what happened that caused Black Panther to become Star-Lord, and what different stories will happen next. Countless people had expressions of horror on their faces, and they all froze in place. I don't want to believe that Black Panther T'Challa will actually become Star-Lord. You must know that the former lives in an isolated place like Wakanda. How did he come to the universe and become Star-Lord? Oh my god. It's so dreamy. The expectations of countless people are rising crazily at this moment. Every pore in the body is expanding crazily. And they feel as if there are 10,000 tentacles scratching their hearts. It is extremely itchy. Then he looked at the dimensional platform again, staring intently at this brand new Star-Lord. Just when people thought they were going to fight, the leader suddenly put down his weapon and exclaimed with excitement on his face, "Oh, Star-Lord, I'm your fan. What are you doing here, everyone?" Good guy. He is actually a fan of Star-Lord. Who the hell would have thought of this? I didn't expect this kind of reaction. Chapter 187. In video. Star-Lord is also relatively helpless. All are ready for battle. As a result, I met my fans. This feeling is really strange. Just as the rest of the soldiers were carrying their guns and aiming at Star-Lord. The guy at the head roared, "Hey, hey, hey, show me some respect. This is the legendary Star-Lord, the legendary Green Forest hero who robbed the rich and gave to the poor. Do we need to bow? I think we should bow. Or should we kneel? This guy is too exaggerated." He knelt down directly in front of Star-Lord. but the background music suddenly became tight and urgent. Caught off guard. They fought anyway. In the end Star-Lord emerged victorious. He also carried his loyal fan away and, with Yondu's help, brought him back to the Predator spaceship. At this time the camera zooms high into the sky. A translucent figure appeared in everyone's sight. Be an observer, although the fate of our protagonist will be played out among the stars. The starting point of his heroic journey has to start from the Earth. When Lin Lan up this sentence. The faces of countless people showed shock and admiration. It's exactly what I said before. Observers are always watching. And I started to look forward to it. How did Black Panther become Star-Lord? The scene changes in front of the huge floor-to-ceiling windows. A little boy stood there. His eyes were full of desire. The desire for the free world outside. So he turned around and said, "I'm tired of living in a protective box. Dad, there's a wider world out there. Yes, it is a place infected by war, violence, and hatred. That world will not bring any good to Wakanda Zero." T'Challa's father walked slowly over. Explained to T'Challa. I want him to know that the outside world is not as beautiful as he imagined. There's definitely something out there worth exploring, but we have to be brave enough to pursue it. I understand very well, son. Although you were born to be a king, you are an explorer at heart. But as a person who has experienced the vicissitudes of the world outside, I can assure you that by then you will only see massive destruction and endless pain. Those people don't understand our pain, father. Finished. Turned and left. But it stimulated T'Challa's desire to explore the outside even more. Then the scene changed. On the vast grassland. T'Challa ran wildly. He kept throwing the spear in his hand, trying to find the location of the barrier. Finally, when he threw it for the last time, the spear passed through a barrier and disappeared from his sight. That's all. T'Challa walks out of Wakanda. The so-called fate is just an equation, which is the product of many variables. It happens at the right place, at the right time, or in some cases, it happens at the wrong time, at the wrong place. Fate comes at that moment. When the narration sounded again. The background music suddenly became loud and majestic, as if some unknown fate was coming, making people watching the video feel as if they had entered a wider world from the woods, suddenly enlightened, and feeling like little T'Challa in their hearts. Same. Full of the joy of adventure. And when the narration ended. A ray of light shines on T'Challa. See this scene. Countless people opened their eyes wide and stared at the screen, very curious about what happened. However, when the Predator spaceship came into view. Everyone seems to understand why T'Challa became Star-Lord. Oh my god, it turns out that the Predators have come to Earth. They should take T'Challa away. It should be like this. I remember at the end of the last video, didn't Yondu and the others say they were hired by someone to take Star-Lord away? But what's very strange is, how could they take T'Challa away? Yeah, this is too confusing. Countless people suddenly became enlightened. Now I finally understand. Because T'Challa left Wakanda without permission. Then he was taken away by looters. That led him to become Star-Lord. It's just that everyone is curious, why would they take T'Challa? Shouldn't it be Peter Quill? Just when they were lost in thought. The camera turned. The sky around us is no longer Earth. But the starry sky of the Milky Way. I saw two men bringing T'Challa into the control room. And Yondu's figure also caught people's eyes at this moment. When Yondu turned around and saw T'Challa. He was stunned for a second, then roared, "You've arrested the wrong person, you two idiots. That shouldn't be the case, Captain. The two observation holes, the two 1.3 listening holes, and the feeding hole all match. Does this look like Peter Quill to you?" Heard this conversation. Those who were watching the video suddenly realized. It turns out that it was because in this world, Yondu handed over the task to two stupid subordinates, that T'Challa started following the interstellar adventure with Yondu and other Predators. But when the spacecraft starts, little T'Challa looked out the window with longing. And after a silky transition, little T'Challa seemed to have grown up into T'Challa instantly and landed on a planet. Predators, and their lights were feasting. The noise and cheers resounded throughout the space. I saw T'Challa, Yondu and others who had just plundered the cosmic spirit ball sitting together, To celebrate this victory point, and his loyal fans are constantly asking about his glorious deeds. However, when he asked the last question with admiration on his face, one stone stirred up 1,000 waves and caused an uproar in the universe. How on earth did you prevent Thanos from destroying half the earth? That Titan is too scary. What? Stop Thanos. Chala, stop Thanos. When people hear the words of this loyal fan, everyone's faces showed expressions of shock and disbelief. It was like a stormy sea was setting off in my heart, one wave after another hitting my heart, beating suddenly. I can't believe Chala pulled him and actually stopped Thanos. Their sense of anticipation was rising at this moment. Curiosity spreads like crazy. How did Chala stop Thanos after becoming Star-Lord? 115. Chala convinces Thanos. Our collector's so fierce. It's really unexpected that I became Star-Lord like this. Wakanda. In the laboratory of the University of Nottingham. Chala had a look of embarrassment on his face. He didn't expect that he would become Star-Lord because he was caught by mistake. Once upon a time, he is indeed looking forward to the outside world just like in the video. But later he slowly understood that Wakanda was his hometown and his destination. So I never went out privately like that again. Choosing to live under the barrier. So when he saw himself in another world becoming Star-Lord, it seemed to be in contrast to himself. It can be regarded as fulfilling his childhood dream. Chapter 188. But when he heard the words from that ardent fan, he froze in place. The other him actually stopped Thanos. Thanos. These two words, just like Iron Man said, have become the nightmare of countless people. Even the previous rankings saw him lose the final battle. But it is undeniable that many people died because of this. Not only countless lives, but also many superheroes lost a lot because of this, and even fell. So how could he not be shocked? How could we not be surprised? So he stared at the screen, wanting to know how the other person stopped Thanos. Not only him, but everyone in the universe who was shocked was looking forward to it. Holy crap. Star-Lord Chala stopped Thanos. How is that possible? Hey, what a guy. The previous Star-Lord punched Thanos awake and killed half of the people, but this Star-Lord actually stopped Thanos. Comparing the two, they are simply two extremes. So how did this Chala version of Star-Lord stop Thanos? If I remember correctly, Star-Lord doesn't have any superpowers, right? Yeah. How did he stop it? People have compared the two Star-Lords. It's obvious that Chala's version of Star-Lord directly beat Quill's version of Star-Lord. But despite that they also couldn't figure out how Star-Lord Chala, who didn't have superpowers, could stop those existences. Video continues. When ardent fans asked that sentence, the background music suddenly became terrifying, making countless people's hearts jump into their throats immediately. In the video, a very familiar big purple man appeared around Chala and others. Boom, boom, boom. Countless people who were watching the video were beating wildly in their hearts. Obviously I didn't expect Thanos to show up. Suddenly, their heartstrings tightened, and a chill rushed directly from their backs to their scalps, thinking that there was going to be a big battle. But what no one expected was Thanos put up his hands and talked like an old acquaintance. I am already a big person, so I'm brave enough to admit my mistakes. Chala told me several ways to redistribute the resources of the universe. Boom. When Thanos said these words, everyone felt as if their heads were struck by lightning. They never expected that Chala would stop Thanos like this and make Thanos behave. Holy crap. I thought Chala used force to stop Thanos. I didn't expect that he actually convinced him. Oh my god. Why didn't I think of this? He's so smart. Compared with Peter Quill, I think Chala's brain is brighter. He is also very flexible and changeable in doing things, and he actually told Thanos several ways to allocate resources. Wasn't that big guy killed because of insufficient resources? Half of all life in the universe. From this point of view, Chala's version of Star-Lord is not only the version of Star-Lord who completely tortured Quill, they are simply incomparable. Ha 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 ha. Yes, I find Chala's version of Star-Lord really charming. Countless People breathed a sigh of relief. The worries in my heart suddenly disappeared. After all, in the previous video Thanos' snap of his fingers seemed to be imprinted in everyone's mind, and his heart was full of fear. Now we see Thanos taking a good turn. I even felt a little secretly happy. I couldn't help but admire T'Challa's version of Star-Lord even more. From the words of enthusiastic fans, it is obvious that T'Challa has done many things and prevented many wars. He is a real superhero who robs the rich and gives to the poor. Sometimes a good argument is your best weapon. Yes, you are right, Commander, but I still think my plan has some merit. Although Thanos has readily accepted T'Challa's suggestion. But he still kept thinking about his previous plan. Just when he said these words, the predators on the side were sighing. Apparently Thanos said this more than once. But it was fun to see them like this. People who are watching the video are also curious. What will happen in this world without enemies like Thanos? Without enemies like Thanos in this world, there would be no agreement with Ronan. So what unexpected things would happen in this world? I think destiny is a cycle. Without Thanos, he will definitely have other enemies. So keep reading, and it is estimated that what kind of enemies there will be revealed soon. Yes, I also think there will definitely be enemies. Although the plot is different, it is full of slots. It's not just full of flaws. Look, is that Nebula? I'm so stupid. Just when people are talking. A barrage instantly attracted people's attention. Then they all focused their attention on the video again. I saw T'Challa taking 1 or 2 photos with the destroyer at the bar, and then the camera moved aside. When a blue figure with blonde hair and a glittering golden skirt came into everyone's eyes, people in the entire universe froze in place. They originally thought T'Challa was outrageous enough. After seeing this, I realized they were wrong. Damn it, this is Nebula? Did I read that correctly? Hi. I always thought she was ugly, but I didn't expect that with her golden hair and this figure flavoring skirt. My god, is this really Nebula? Why do I feel like she is better than her sister Gamora? It's pretty good. Is it possible that T'Challa's version of Star-Lord will fall in love with Gamora's sister? Good guy. This way Star-Lord has all the sisters. Damn, you have a good idea. The atmosphere suddenly lit up. What are sisters doing? As soon as you mentioned it, my heart moved. Just when people are watching the fun. T'Challa's face showed surprise and a smile, and he greeted Nebula cordially. Nebula, hello. Check. Holy shit, do you want to be so close? At this moment. When Nebula answered. There is no other half in the entire universe who has a burning face. Apparently this wave caught them off guard. I didn't expect Nebula to call T'Challa that way. I couldn't help but feel countless goosebumps falling all over the floor, and my eyes were full of resentment and envy. This trophy looks quite valuable. Does that big guy know you have this? At this time. T'Challa showed Nebula his newly acquired cosmic orb. After taking a look, the latter teased softly. Obviously the big guy she's talking about is her father, Thanos. You mean your father? He should be honored that I call him big. Nebula drank the wine in the glass in one gulp. There seemed to be a hint of guilt in the words, and T'Challa heard this. I don't want to see the relationship between Nebula and Thanos still so stiff. So he suggested, he's in the garden. You should talk to him. He's really changed, but the past will never change, and you still hang it around your neck. Nebula reached out and gently touched the necklace around T'Challa's neck. Then he asked, do you still want to go back? I can't go back. When I was a child, Yondu wanted to send me back to Wakanda, but Wakanda has been destroyed. Wakanda is destroyed. Countless people heard T'Challa's answer, and their faces were full of horror. You know, in the previous video, they saw that even when facing a terrifying army like Thanos, Wakanda was able to stop it. So they were surprised and curious what kind of terrifying existence could destroy Wakanda. The background music becomes sad at this moment. It made countless people's hearts tremble. They could feel the sadness and despair in T'Challa's heart. Yes, go out for an adventure. As a result, when I wanted to go back, I found that my hometown was gone. No matter who it is difficult to accept this fact, but Zingarn's words made them no longer feel so lost. You lost your home and now you're saving other people's homes. That's your job, right? Roughly the same. T'Challa's response expressed his attitude. It also further demonstrated his determination. Chapter 189. Unlike Star-Lord Quill before him, Chala had a chivalrous heart from the beginning. This is very admirable. At this time Zingarn cast a flirtatious look and said softly, well, I have a job here for you. The camera turned. Nebula, Chala, Thanos and the Reavers gathered together. In front of them was an extremely strange thing projected. Just when people want to know what Chala and others will do next. Nebula explained. People call it the creation ember, a kind of cosmic dust from ancient supernovas. It contains huge energy and can transform the entire ecosystem into a livable environment. Just one goo can save a planet in a few minutes. A dying planet. Boom, boom, boom. Hear Nebula's explanation. Not only Chala and others were shocked. People watching the video were so shocked that they were speechless. Have they ever seen something so terrifying? It only takes such a small amount to restore life to a planet. This is a real gem for anyone who has lost their home. It only takes a few steps like this to save the planet. Even a planet with a poor ecological environment can be improved into a habitable one. This is incredible. It's not just against the heavens. If we had this, people on countless planets would be able to eat. Yes, so they should be looking for this thing now. Maybe as they thought before, they will definitely encounter new enemies. Although we will encounter enemies, I think Chala will definitely succeed. People's thinking is constantly spreading. Want to know how they obtained the embers of creation. After all, the significance of this kind of thing is basically comparable to that of an infinite gem. So, who are we targeting? At this time Yondu asked the question everyone wanted to ask. That's where to get the embers of creation. Soon Nebula gave the answer. Tenel. Tefen. He is also known as the Collector. You talking about the most cold-blooded and ruthless person in the dark world of the entire 617 galaxies? When Chala and others heard this name. A member of the Marauders asked worriedly. Everyone watching the video was immediately shocked. They never expected it. In the last Star-Lord video, that Collector didn't look like much. To have become such an iconic figure in this world. I knew there would be a new enemy, but I didn't expect it to be the Collector. Is this guy so powerful? Yes, he seems to be as feared in this world as Thanos before. Plus he has so many collectibles, he is probably too powerful to imagine. Doesn't that mean that this guy is more difficult to deal with than Ronan? What should Chala and the others do? Will they accept Nebula's commission? People are starting to worry. It is very obvious that the collectors in this world are probably more difficult to deal with than Ronan in the last video. And what Yondu said next also proved their point of view. We all know that the collector is a very dangerous person. This is simply suicide. Chala, even I can't get close to him. At this time when Chala hadn't finished speaking, Yondu stood up and retorted vigorously. Then he came to him and continued to warn. Understand, that madman won't even let you die happily. He will use you for scientific experiments, then dissect you bit by bit, and then hang your skeleton on the wall. Finished. Yondu wanted to leave angrily. Until he walked to the window of the spacecraft and looked at the starry sky outside alone. See here. Countless people feel very lost. Although they really want to see Chala and the others go grab the ember of creation. But just like Yondu said. The trouble of going to the Collector is undoubtedly courting death. Or in other words, life is worse than death. But just when they gave up hope. Chala came over, advised Yondu and said, we are sneaking around every day, and if we really want to change the galaxy and achieve our original goals, then we should rob the Collector's treasure trove. I just can't refuse you. When Yondu answered truthfully. The background music became very passionate and high. Just like when Star-Lord Quill and the Guardians of the Galaxy were preparing to set off to deal with Ronan. Really. They accepted the commission in an instant. Countless people also began to feel excited following the music. Stare at the top of the screen. Want to know how they deal with collectors and if they can succeed. 116. Sneak into the Collector's collection. Exciting action. Hahaha. I didn't expect that you in another world would be so close to Nebula and even asked you to check. It really made me laugh to death. Hahaha. Wakanda. Chala's sister's laughter seemed to resound throughout the entire building. She never expected that her brother, who never knew how to pick up girls, would actually smile like that to a woman, as if he was seeing his beloved. But seriously, if I really fall in love with Nebula, she will support him without hesitation. In this way, she doesn't have to worry about Chala's marriage. After all, Wakanda is now exposed. The outside world already knows there is nothing to stop outsiders from marrying into their royal family. You shut up. Don't mention it again. Chala's nearly dark face was slightly flushed. Even when he heard the Sisu voice of Chacha just now, he felt his whole body go weak, as if he had fallen from small to large. No one has ever been called such a nickname so intimately. So much so that his heart was still beating loudly. I couldn't help but stare at Nebula in the video, and then I heard her start to introduce the plan to snatch the Ember of Creation. Everyone knows that the Collector is keen on collecting alien flora and fauna, and the Ember of Creation is placed here with his other trophies. In video. When Nebula finished speaking, a skull-like pattern appeared on the electronic screen. Chala continued Nebula's words in perfect agreement. That is a museum and his base of operations. It was built on the head of an ancient god. The words just fell. The silky transition appears again. The head pattern on the electronic screen immediately changed into a real head, and a shocking and dazzling space landscape appeared all around. Then a spaceship flashed past quickly and rushed directly into the head. Then I saw the screen cut into the interior of the spacecraft again. Thanos also participated in this operation. He hired the Dark Legion to take care of security. Believe me, they are very difficult to deal with. How are you going to get around them? At this time. Those who are watching the video hear Thanos' words. There were expressions of surprise on their faces. Unexpectedly, the Collector not only exchanged status with Thanos, but even Thanos' former subordinates became the Collector's subordinates. I couldn't help but sigh that the world is reincarnated. Good guys, this wave of Collectors have completely become the characters of Thanos. Yes, but this also makes me curious. Can Chala and the others really succeed? I feel that the Collectors in this world are definitely not that easy to deal with. I think so too. Like the previous Thanos, he is probably a very ruthless character, the kind who kills without blinking an eye. No. Have you forgotten what Yondu said? He won't let you die so happily. He will torture you bit by bit. Hiss. Countless people took a breath of cold air before they even saw the Collector. They already felt a chill on their backs and numb scalps. Even my heart became nervous. I can't help but worry even more. Can Chala and the others succeed? Spare base and GULIU feed 0. If it doesn't succeed, the team will be wiped out. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 190. It's even more dangerous than the time I dealt with Ronan in the last video. Just when people are worried. The video continues when several people from the Dark Legion appeared on the electronic screen on the spacecraft. Thanos was starting to get a little worried. After all, these guys are very difficult to deal with. Not only is the combat effectiveness very high, and each one is very unique. Once the fight starts, it's really not necessarily there. Opponent. Just when he thought that Nebula had found a way to get around them, he never thought that she said nonchalantly, "Don't go around, just go through the front door like a lady." When Nebula said these words, the background music sounded relaxed and pleasant, as if it were beside a stream in the forest. It was refreshing and made the audience who were worried just now breathe a sigh of relief and feel very relaxed. Seeing Nebula look so confident. Their sense of anticipation was heightened at this moment. How to get the Ember of Creation? By going directly to the Collector. The picture flashed by. The Collector's maid came into view again. And Nebula and Yondu pretend to be sellers, planning to sell the cosmic orb to a Collector. But when the camera cut to the box between the two of them, go and discover that what's inside is not a cosmic orb, but Chala. What? It's Chala. People watching the video saw this. I couldn't help but start to get excited. They were just thinking about what Nebula's plan was. I didn't expect to use this trick. As long as the Collector sends this box to the museum, you can find the Embers of Creation inside. What a great idea. This is a security captain, Proxima Centauri, However, just when people were excited, the words of the maid instantly froze the expressions of countless people, accompanied by fast tight music. Countless people's nerves were tense, and their hearts were pounding. It's like he's about to be discovered for doing something bad, because in the picture Proxima Centauri stands next to the scanner, apparently to scan the boxes that Nebula and Yondu brought. Once scanned, the plan will directly fail. If the collectors are alerted, then maybe none of them will be able to escape. It's over. Why in this world collectors actually let Proxima Centauri do the security inspection? Oh my god. This is fucked up. I was dumbfounded. I was saying just now that their plan was very good, but now it seems that it is not feasible. As long as the box is scanned, their plan will be exposed. I don't think it's that simple. Nebula must have expected this. You see how confident she is. She is obviously well prepared. Huh. What you said seems to make sense. Why didn't she and Yondu panic at all? Could it be that they were really well prepared? People initially thought their plan was doomed. But when they saw Nebula and Yondu not panicking at all, suddenly my heart was filled with doubts and expectations. It seems that Zingan and others should have been fully prepared. At this moment, just as the box was getting ready to be scanned, the scene changes outside the museum. Fans and Thanos got into an argument. And the two got into a fight. It caused quite a stir. The Dark Legion and others were immediately attracted, and even Proxima Centauri rushed out without even bothering to scan. See this scene. People's faces showed surprise and surprise. Unexpectedly, they had already planned to use fights to attract the Dark Legion so that Nebula and others could sneak in. Really. Just when Dark Knight Proxima Centauri left. Nebula and others entered the museum, and Chala flew directly into the collection, looking for the embers of creation. Still the same as the previous video. The entire collection is extremely vast and magnificent. Filled with dazzling collections. There are even dog repairs. It shows how much collectors like to collect alien animals and plants. The collection is bigger than I thought. Why is it causing so much pain? Chala watched as he walked. Saw one living creature after another being locked up in a cage. My heart is extremely heavy. I couldn't help but think of my own childhood. I also long for freedom and the outside world. But just when he said these words, a duck answered elegantly while holding a wine glass. I guess he's compensating for what he's missing in something bigger or something smaller, if you know what I mean. For a duck, you're pretty expressive, sir. You are so ignorant. Chala has never seen a talking duck. There was a keen interest in it. However, what the duck said next woke him up. Instead of searching without a clue. Why not ask this duck if he knows where the ember of creation is? I'm looking for something. The ember of creation. Do you know where it is? In the plant area. Go to the end of this corridor. Turn left at the frost giant, and then turn right at the Croonin warrior. You will see a sign of elven culture. Ignore it, duck. Quack hasn't finished talking yet. Chala raised his pistol directly. He found out now. Instead of asking this duck. Might as well let this duck lead the way. Snapped. Gunfire rang out. In the duck's shocked eyes, the cage opens directly. Then Chala whispered, lead the way. Good guy. I kindly tell you where you are, but you want me to lead the way. Good guy, you must be a devil. This duck feels like he is enjoying his life inside. He is drinking wine and lying on a comfortable chair. He kindly tells you where you are, but you damn well let him lead the way. The little duck's eyes look so lifeless. He probably knows that the road is far away. It made me laugh to death. With relaxing music. This humanoid duck led Chala forward. But at this moment. The music became fast and compact, making countless people's hearts that were very comfortable and relaxed just now become tense again, as if a lie had been exposed. The scene once again switched to outside the museum. While the looters were still acting and causing unrest. Proxima Centauri concentrated its energy on the spear in his hand, and then fell from the sky. The spear in his hand was also inserted into the ground, and extremely terrifying lightning arcs were instantly released in all directions, stunning the predators one after another. On the ground. Wait a minute, these are all predators. The Smoke and dust cleared away, and the arc dissipated. Point. When Proxima Centauri sees that everyone on the ground is a predator, think back to when Nebula and the Predator leader Yondu entered just now. Point. Immediately, his heart trembled suddenly, as if he realized something, and he immediately shouted, "It's an attack from the east. Sound the alarm. Lock down the entire building." Boom, boom, boom. Damn it. When the person watching the video hears the words of Proxima Centauri, Chapter 191. Everyone's hearts started to beat crazily, and they all jumped to their throats, and they were extremely nervous. They originally thought that everything would go smoothly. Point. But who would have thought that this dark night star Proxima Centauri is too cautious and alert. Point. I immediately guessed that this was a conspiracy. Suddenly people began to worry about Chala and others. It's over. It's really over now. Yes. I just thought the plan was implemented smoothly. Maybe Nebula and the others didn't guess it, but Proxima Centauri realized it was a conspiracy right away. Look at the other members of the Dark Legion. They were all fooled. There is no other way. I think they will definitely die. The entire building is sealed, plus the Dark Army and the Collector, who are comparable to Thanos before. How can they escape? I can't think of it. There should be no way to escape from a building of this level, unless you have more powerful power, but no one can use the Power Stone now. Chala is not a demigod like Quill. Even if Quill is here, do you think he can defeat the Collector? The Collector in this world is just like Thanos before, and his strength must be very terrifying. Loss, despair. The hearts of countless people seem to have fallen directly from the top of the mountain to the bottom of the valley. Point. It's hard not to imagine them all being caught by Collectors one by one and tortured to death bit by bit. Wang des Heo. At this time point, just when Proxima Centauri sounded the alarm in the dark night. Point. While countless red lights flashed one after another in the museum, countless doors were closed immediately. Point. See this scene. Point. The Collector, who was still discussing the Cosmic Spirit Ball with Nebula and Yondu, also said with a joking smile, "The alarm is clear. You are really my pistachio, obviously." Point. The Collector also realized what was going on. Point. See this scene. Point. Everyone who was watching the video swallowed hard. Point. I was praying in my heart that Chala would not be discovered. The scene changes just as Chala and Ugg stopped. Point. The alarm also sounded at the same time, and the doors began to close one after another. See the situation. Point. Chala couldn't care less. Directly when a door is about to close. Point. A shovel slid out from underneath. Point. Accompanied by exciting music. Point. The hearts of countless people are also beating crazily. Point. His eyes were fixed on Chala's running figure. Point. Hope he can escape from here. But what no one expected was while Chala is running. Point. The necklace around his neck actually shined with dazzling light. Point. And it connected with a spaceship nearby. When the camera zooms in on the introduction board of the spaceship. Point. There were expressions of shock and disbelief on the faces of countless people, because this spaceship is actually a Wakanda spaceship. How can it be? Didn't I say before that Wakanda had been destroyed when Chala was a child? How could there be such a high-tech spaceship appearing in the collection? Countless people can't wait to know what happened. Point 117. Nebula betrays. Yondu really loves Star-Lord. Wait a minute. Wasn't Wakanda destroyed? Why is there a spaceship here? Yes, and it doesn't look like a spaceship from a long time ago. It looks like a new one. Is there any unknown secret in this? What happened? At this moment. Point. Countless people are filled with questions, looking forward to Chala entering the spaceship to get the answer. Video continues when the necklace around Chala's neck bloomed with dazzling light. Point. The spaceship reacted to the necklace as if it was activated. Point. Then Chala was seen walking into the spaceship. Point. There are special words from Wakanda everywhere. Point. And there are several corpses inside the spacecraft that have been dead for who knows how long. When Chala saw this scene. Point. His face was full of shock and disbelief. Point. He never imagined that he could actually see Wakanda's spaceship in the universe. In his cognition. Point. Wakanda has closed itself off and does not communicate with the outside world. Point. How come there are spaceships in this galaxy? This is unreasonable. Moreover, Yondu said when he was a child that Wakanda has been destroyed, and it is even more impossible for a spaceship to appear. This is impossible, Chala whispered. Point. Just when he wanted to know what was going on. Point. Sudden. Point. A projection appeared on the side. Point. And above the projection is the gray-haired king of Wakanda, his father. Boom, boom, boom. Countless people saw this scene. They all froze in place. My heart felt like a huge wave had set off, and I couldn't calm down for a long time. Before, they all thought Wakanda was really destroyed. But now the figure of the old king appears. This means that Wakanda has not been destroyed. Is this the old king? Oh my god, what happened? Didn't it mean that Wakanda was destroyed? I don't think it's that simple. Wakanda should not have been destroyed. Yondu is lying. He has been lying to T'Challa from the beginning. Holy crap. Then what is Yondu's purpose? Why did he lie to T'Challa? I'm not sure, but the top priority now is how to escape, right? Yeah, Nebula and Yondu have probably been arrested now. I just hope T'Challa won't be discovered, although everyone is very curious about why Yondu lied to T'Challa. But their attention was all on T'Challa 617. Because the top priority now is to find an exit and escape. Otherwise, when they are all caught, it truly fails. My son, T'Challa, the heir to the throne of Wakanda, was abducted from Earth by an alien spacecraft. If you have any information about his whereabouts, please respond to this homing beacon, T'Challa. If you can hear it, among the thousands of stars, you are still the brightest. We will dispatch all spaceships to search for you, and search every single one of the billions of planets. At this moment, when the old king had finished speaking, T'Challa froze on the spot. He never expected it. Not only was Wakanda not destroyed, but his father also dispatched all Wakanda spaceships just to find him. Despite the vastness of the galaxy, his father never gave up. It is bound to search every one of the billions of planets. What a deep love this is, father. A wave of sadness swept over T'Challa. He stayed where he was, unable to calm down for a long time. It also makes people watching the video feel as if their hearts are being grabbed. They could see that the old king's hair had turned white. You can imagine how much effort he put into finding his son. This may be the deep father's love. T'Challa didn't understand it when he was a child, but he should understand it now. Yes, any father who sees his son kidnapped would be so anxious that he would desperately search for his son. So in this way, Yondu is too hateful. Yes, why did he lie to T'Challa? Why not let him return to Earth? There must be some hidden secret. Countless people are even more angry. We must find out why Yondu lied to T'Challa. But at this moment, the background music suddenly became terrifying. It made countless people tremble in their hearts who were extremely angry just now. Suddenly the nerves started to get tense. It's like something unexpected happened. Caca. At this time, the sound of the spaceship door opening continued. Chapter 192. It was like the whisper of death lingering in the ears of countless people. They all held their breath and followed T'Challa's gaze, so nervous that their hearts jumped into their throats. However, when three figures appeared in everyone's sight, everyone's faces showed shock and disbelief. Wait, what did I see? No way. Nebula is actually a traitor. Holy crap. I really didn't expect this. Nebula was so close to T'Challa before, but turned around and sold them out. Is it for the cosmic spirit ball? T'Challa must be too miserable. First, he was deceived by Yondu, and then betrayed by Nebula. Why is T'Challa's version of Star-Lord so miserable? Yeah, he must be too miserable. He obviously wanted to save others, and endured loneliness alone, but in the end he ended up like this. Ugh. In video, Nebula was seen pointing a pistol at T'Challa. The collector is threatening Yondu. See this scene. Countless people were extremely angry, and at the same time, felt extremely sorry for T'Challa. First, Wakanda was deceived by Yondu and was destroyed, so he endured loneliness alone, and wanted to save other planets that were about to be destroyed. I finally found a close partner, but in the end, I directly betrayed him. This is too miserable for him. The background music became extremely desolate at this moment, and the sound of the violin made people feel heartbroken. Even they were so sad to see it. What's more, the person involved is T'Challa. T'Challa, I hope you can understand that I owe a debt to the collector, so I have to use you to repay the debt. When Nebula said these words. Chala frowned. His face was full of anger. He felt sad though. But the anger seemed to have covered up the sadness. The two guys in front of him had lied to him. Be sure to ask clearly, otherwise, we will not let them go no matter what. The scene changes. The Dark Legion imprisoned Yondu and Chala in a solitary room. The other members of the Marauders are also here. Whizzing. Chala suddenly stood up from the ground, as fast as the wind, lifted Yondu up in the flash of lightning, and roared angrily, "You lied to me. I'm protecting you." Yondu's heart skipped a beat. At the moment, when he was coerced into the Wakanda spaceship. He knew that Chala already knew everything. The thing I was most worried about happened. So he could only use the rhetoric he had prepared long ago to respond to Chala. "You said that my hometown was destroyed and my family was killed. Are you protecting me?" Chala's voice was angry and desperate at the same time. Countless people who were watching the video clenched their fists and expressed their grievances on his behalf. Even Chala in the real world. He also frowned. It's not like he doesn't know what his hometown and family mean to him. It's hope. It's sustenance. Even if you become Star-Lord in another world, anything that offends your hometown and family will make you furious. Chala, I didn't expect that Yondu would lie to the other me. This decision is very stupid. My hometown and family are like my enemies. Even if it is a lie, it will make me furious. Star-Lord, I can see this, but you are so disrespectful to Yondu. Be careful, his whistle arrow will directly pierce your head. Yondu, humph, you are still too young. How can you understand us predators wandering outside? Take a good look. I believe there must be a reason for me in another world, and that reason will make you Egypt was shocked. Ha. I think you just want to keep Chala by your side so that I can make money for you. That's right. Although you rob the rich and give to the poor, I think you must have your own selfish motives. Even though Yondu himself issued a barrage of explanation for the first time. But no one believed him. I just want to know what words he would use to fool Chala in this world. The background music became very desolate at this moment, like standing on the top of a snow mountain and being blown by the cold wind, biting. Many people can also feel that Chala is frustrated at this time. If Yondu can't give a reasonable explanation, then he may be confused directly or even lose himself. Sometimes, lies are meant to make you see the truth, and you're just like me. Chala, Yondu said this at this time. He is not good at expressing himself. Just trying to convince Chala from another angle. But how could the latter agree with his nonsense? I'm not the same as you at all. You are an explorer, Star-Lord. For people like you and me, the past is just a burden. The earth does not belong to you. You belong to us and our family. Yondu loves Chala very much. Treat him as his own family. Although the requirements are usually strict. Or there may be quarrels, but it doesn't affect his feelings for Chala. And those who were watching the video heard Yondu's answer. Only then did I understand why Yondu told Chala that his hometown and family had been destroyed. Because he is afraid. He was afraid that his Chala would leave him. Because he not only treats Chala as a family member, but also as his own son. So that's it. It seems that Yondu, a seemingly selfish guy, has long regarded Chala as his family. That's why he lied to Chala, because he didn't want Chala to leave the family. Maybe this man just doesn't know how to express his feelings. That's right. And now I discovered that in the last video, Yondu treated Star-Lord in the same way. Although he seemed to be stricter and always said that he wanted to kill him. In fact, he never did so. Instead, he helped him several times. Star-Lord Quill. As Yondu said in this video, he can never refuse Star-Lord Chala because both of them regard Star-Lord as his own son. Chala, is this really the case? Am I wrong to blame Yondu? Star-Lord. Yondu, are you really like this? Isn't it because I have value that you keep me in the predators? Yondu. Of course not, kid. It is true as they say. I have long regarded you as my own child. So stop being so angry and come back to the predators. Move. Whether it's Yondu in the real world or Yondu in the video. His words moved countless people. Originally, they all thought that Yondu only regarded Star-Lord Quill or Star-Lord Chala as valuable pawns. But who would have thought? This guy doesn't look like he wants to risk his life. Will help Star-Lord when he fights Ronan in the last video. Will help Star-Lord when he takes on the Collector in this video. Tell me why. That's because he has long regarded Star-Lord as his own child and can never refuse him. Isn't this a kind of heavy father's love? But what everyone didn't expect was point and video. Chala shook his head and replied in confusion. You are not my family, never have been, missing. His hometown and family made him say these words without thinking. Even very confused. On one side is the real hometown and family, on the other side is the family in the sense. He couldn't make a decision at the moment. Here the words other members of the Marauders were lost. Even unbelievable. They never expected it. Chala didn't consider them family. These words are so hurtful. The ardent fan responded. Yes, this sentence is too hurtful. Even Thanos in the back showed a sad expression. See this scene. Many people's hearts were touched. It turns out that it's not just Yondu who cherishes Chala. Others cherish this relationship. Chapter 193. Treat Chala as their family. Look at Thanos. He is sad. Now I feel that Yondu's lies are right. Yes, even Thanos can regard Chala as a family member. It can be seen that if Yondu tells the truth, Chala's departure will make everyone sad, not just Yondu. Save someone, Thanos. When people are still feeling emotional. Thanos' barrage directly caused a huge sensation in the universe. They had never seen Thanos send a barrage. I even thought Thanos hadn't seen the dimensional platform, but they were wrong. Thanos was actually watching the whole time. Suddenly, the entire barrage filled the screen like crazy. Some people were kneeling down to lick Thanos, some were threatening to kill Thanos, and even members of the Avengers joined in one after another. But at this moment. The background music suddenly became terrifying. It stopped countless people who were sending barrages like crazy. Then move your eyes to Chala in the video. Just when he finished saying that sentence. The Dead Blade General appeared behind him and said coldly, "The Collector wants to see you." Boom. A dull crashing sound sounded. The Dead Blade General knocked him out directly. It was like hitting the hearts of countless people, beating bang 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 non-stop. The nerves were extremely tense, and the pupils dilated rapidly. I felt a chill going straight to Shinlinge. Chala is in danger. 118. To level reversal? Exclamation mark. Chala vs the Collector. It's over. Now that Nebula has rebelled, Chala has been taken to the Collector again. I'm afraid he will be tortured to death bit by bit. It's not just torture to death. It would be fine if I provoked him normally, but now I'm directly invading the collection to steal things. I guess my life would be worse than death. Hiss. When I think about what Yondu said before, the Collector will hang up your skull, it makes me sick. And Chala now finally knows that his hometown and family are still there. Oh, what a pity. Yes, it's such a pity. Chala in this world obviously saved so many people, but in the end, he couldn't even look at his hometown and family again. It's really such a pity. Accompanied by soft sad music. Countless people feel as if they are drifting on the sea. I clearly saw the small island in the distance. But it keeps drifting and cannot dock. When people feel there is hope, despair sweeps over. They all felt sorry and worried for Chala. It was clear that he had just seen hope, but the Collector dashed his hope again, leaving only despair. Boom, boom, boom. There was a tapping sound on the glass. I saw the screen change. After General Deathblade took Chala away. It appears again standing in a transparent glass cabinet, as if it was treated as a collection just like the duck before. But how could Chala be convinced? He knocked on the glass reluctantly. And saw the Collector walking towards him. I apologize to you for Nebula's impulsiveness. I hate making noise, the Collector said jokingly. And glanced up and down. Turn around and leave. This makes Chala very confused. What does this Collector want from him? What do you want from me? Tefan, there is still a vacant booth in the exhibition hall, and I haven't found a suitable exhibit yet. I am an ordinary person, not a work of art. Only when I see it with my own eyes do I know that you are an ordinary person. The Collector walked in and looked at Chala carefully. And he pondered for a while and asked, "Are you sure you can't fly, or have your eyes shoot lasers or something? You'll know after we take 2 moves. Forget it, you'd better stay in the cage." The Collector turned around and left again in disgust. Point clearly dissatisfied with the fact that Chala is an ordinary person. Point here the words Chala and the entire people of Wakanda who were watching the video showed angry faces as the king of Wakanda. Point as a superhero. Point it was actually displayed as an exhibit by a collector. How can I bear this? If this collector has a chance, I will definitely destroy his collection and use all the collections in it to help others. Chala growled angrily. Point when the sister on the side saw the situation, she also comforted her softly. Point she knew that her brother now sympathized with her other self. Point after all, the other Chala not only couldn't return to his hometown after learning the truth, but he also had to be displayed as an exhibit. Point you can tell by looking at the hopeless looks of other exhibits. Being treated as an exhibit is a undignified, long and boring process, and Chala heard his sister's comfort. Point it also slowed down. Point there was murderous intent in his eyes. Looking at the dimensional platform again, he knew and firmly believed that his other self would definitely escape and kill this collector. It's not just him. Point the other Avengers saw this. I felt very uncomfortable inside. Point in the video, they fought side by side. Point he has long regarded Chala as a comrade in arms. Now that they see their comrades trapped, they feel extremely aggrieved. However, they seemed to look at the video with a tacit understanding. They felt that Chala could not be trapped in this place like this. He will escape, and win for sure. Why does this hateful collector like to collect animals and plants so much? Forget about plants. Animals and the like are locked in exhibition cabinets. What's the difference between them and The Walking Dead? That's right. Not only is it boring and long, but your freedom is also restricted. I think I will go crazy if I stay here for half a day, Star-Lord. That's what I said, but I think Chala will definitely be able to come out of it. I have a hunch. You really said the right thing this time. I also think Chala can come out. After all, he has saved so many people in this world. This shouldn't be the ending, Nebula. Oh, that's not necessarily true. Maybe my great father has been holding back, waiting until the end to kill them all, and then win the cosmic spirit ball. At ****, you traitorous guy actually dares to come out. You see, your father has changed for the better. How about you? That's right. I thought you and Chala in the other world would fall in love with each other, but I didn't expect you to directly betray him. This wave caught me off guard. I still remember that in the previous video, it was because of you that Thanos was able to travel from the past to the future. Without you, maybe Iron Man would not have died. Just when people are going crazy against collectors, the appearance of Nebula made people angry again. Point after all, betrayal is the most disappointing and infuriating thing. Point they vaguely remember that it was also because of Nebula. Point leading to the final battle, so they especially hate this behavior. The barrage instantly filled the entire screen. Point however, the video continues. Screenshot from Chala. Point moved to the cell on the other side. Point just when Yondu, Thanos and others were disappointed and worried about Chala. Point two figures came into their eyes again. Point look up. Point at the door, it's Nebula and General Deathblade. The background music became extremely scary at this time, making countless people's hearts tremble. Point they all stopped sending barrages, held their breath, and stared at Nebula. Their nerves were extremely tense at this moment, and they swallowed hard. They have a very ominous premonition. Is it possible that Zingarn not only betrays them, but also wants to eradicate them? Just when they were guessing. Point Nebula's actions seemed to have told them the answer. I saw Nebula slowly raising the gun and pointing it at Thanos and the fanatical fans in front of him. Boom, boom, boom. Exclamation mark. Chapter 194. The faces of countless people were full of horror and disbelief. Point they didn't expect Nebula to be so vicious, not to mention selling Chala. Point he actually didn't even let his father and the Predators go. Suddenly, the entire universe was once again in an uproar. Nebula, you've really gone too far. How could you do this? You're so cruel. That's right. Let's forget about the betrayal. I didn't expect you to actually come and eradicate it yourself. You not only failed Chala, you also failed everyone. You are really terrible. At this moment. Point the entire universe was scolded. Point and inside a huge warship. Point Thanos, who was sitting above him, was also squinting coldly at the Nebula below. Point he said indifferently, it seems that you have a deep grudge against me, father. That's not the case. I never thought of it that way. Here. Thanos' words. Nebula's whole body was trembling, and she knelt down and replied in panic. Although she really wanted to kill Thanos in her heart and kill the culprit who caused her to become like this, but in front of Thanos, she was always good and obedient, trying her best to express herself, just to win Gamora. So now in front of Thanos, of course she didn't dare to answer what was in her heart. I can only try my best to excuse myself. In an instant. The air pressure on the entire warship is very low. So low that Nebula didn't dare to raise her head. Afraid that Thanos would order her arm to be removed again or something. So I can only pray that my other self in the video will not shoot Thanos, otherwise I might really die. Snapped. Gunfire rang out. The person watching the video closed his eyes tightly. They tell the truth. Love this fan. I really don't want to see him die. So when I heard the gunshot, I felt a surge of sadness in my heart. Some even cursed Nebula. They reacted for a while before they dared to accept this fact, so they turned their attention to the video again. But when they saw what happened, the whole universe is silent. Just when Nebula took out his gun and was about to shoot at the fanatical fans, make a gorgeous turn and pull the trigger, the Deathblade general was shot and fell to the ground. Holy shit. It turned out to be another reversal. There were expressions of shock and disbelief on the faces of countless people. They didn't expect that there would be another reversal this time. Nebula betrayed first Chala and the Reavers, and now the Collector and the Dark Legion. So whose side is she on? Star-Lord. Damn. No way. Is this woman so fickle? Chala. A woman's heart is like a needle in the sea. I admit that I can't play with her. I might not even want to find a wife in the future. You deceived me into nothing, Spider-Man. So whose side is she on? My Peter Yip cannot be used in this place. I can't guess. Loki. Let me tell you, you brainless guys, listen up. This Nebula has actually been acting from the beginning. So she is on Chala's side, yes. As for why we do this, it's because it's planned. Zero ask for flowers. Thor God, you are indeed my brother. You can always tell the truth. But what's the matter with the second half of the sentence? It seems that I heard it and didn't. Doctor Strange. What he probably wants to say is that Nebula and Chala have already planned to use Nebula to gain the Collector's trust, pretend to betray Chala and others, and then betray him back to avoid being there is a risk of group destruction. Loki. Yes, that's what I want to say. It seems that some mortals can still understand my thoughts, because Thanos sent a barrage before. The Avengers and other superheroes on the list also sent a lot of barrages. This time the whole universe hears them talk. My thoughts became clear instantly. I learned that Nebula was actually on Chala's side from beginning to end. My face suddenly felt hot. Good guy. It's so embarrassing. What the hell? I just scolded the Collector. It was really hateful. Yes, you actually led Nebula to rebel. How shameless. That's right. I just said that Nebula won't rebel. As expected, he is very resourceful and made a super twist. You guys, you were the ones who scolded the most fiercely just now. Nebula, I have already remembered you guys. When I get the chance, I will cut you into pieces. At this time, Nebula finally breathed a sigh of relief when she saw her other self shoot and kill General Deathblade. Although he felt a chill coming from General Deathblade behind his back. But fortunately, Thanos above no longer releases that heart-stopping murderous intent. But she was also curious. Zero after being betrayed twice. Can he really help Chala defeat the Collector? To know the status of a Collector in another world is as terrifying as your own father. Then she could finally raise her head easily and look towards the dimensional platform, looking forward to what the other one would do. Video continues when Nebula rescued them. She told them her and Chala's plan. And also took out a bottle of green glass tube. Inside is the goal of their trip, the Ember of Creation. What about Chala? At this time Yondu asked a question that everyone wanted to ask. They left. So what about Chala? He's still with the Collector. Isn't this a sheep entering a tiger's mouth? Don't worry, he has already made a secret escape plan. When Nebula said this, the background music started to get louder and louder. The worried and anxious hearts of countless people beat violently in an instant, and they felt that every part of their bodies were full of vitality and their blood was boiling. Their anticipation was peaking at this moment. What secret plan had Chala formulated? Zingian just finished speaking. The picture comes to Chala. The collector was seen handing Chala to the maid and Ebony Moore. Ask them to cut it into pieces then leave gracefully. See this scene. Chala took off the necklace from his neck and took advantage of Ebony Moore to accuse the maid. Break the glass and jump to the high altitude exhibition cabinet. See this scene. Countless people's eyes lit up and they really had a chance to escape. However, before they could be happy for a few seconds, Ebony Throat took action directly and fixed Chala in the air, and when he surged out with all his strength, he wanted to kill him. Snapped, another gunshot rang out. Under the eyes of countless people with surprise, the maid shot Ebony Moore from behind and killed him. Hiss. Countless people took a breath. It was only a few seconds they saw two wonderful betrayals kill the two generals of the Dark Legion. This made people raise their arms and shout. A feeling of joy rushes straight from my heart to my forehead. I'm even more confident that Chala can escape. Chapter 195. Then I saw him shuttle between the exhibition cabinets, running faster and faster. The hearts of countless people were beating to this rhythm, and they were very excited, as if they were cheering for him. The result was at this moment, boom. A dull crashing sound resounded. A fist suddenly appeared from the side and knocked Chala away with one punch. The camera zooms in. When the collector's figure appeared in everyone's eyes, people's hearts skipped a beat. The excitement on his face was completely frozen. My nerves immediately became tense. They swallowed hard. This time, one-on-one, Chala no longer has any tricks at his disposal. Can he defeat the collector? Countless people are praying in their hearts. Thanks to Reader Dad WX7732 for the 100 reward. Factory 119. Has US Shield's Thor's hammer become a collectible? Exclamation mark. Marauders never fight alone. It's over. I thought Chala could run out. The collector has been waiting here for a long time. Damn it. When on earth can Chala defeat the collector one-on-one? I find it difficult. Look at the collector's arm. It's obviously a treasure. And Chala doesn't have any superpowers, so I think he should be dead. Deemed. At this moment. Everyone was silent. Even Chala himself, who was watching the video, had dry lips. I didn't expect so many things to be planned. In the end, it fell into the hands of collectors. I feel a bit unwilling. It seems that I will become a superhero who sacrifices myself just like before. Elder brother, here. Chala's words. My sister also felt sad. She was teasing her brother before. But now he has to see his brother face the collector, even if it's my brother from another world. She also didn't want to see him get hurt in any way, but to be honest, she could already predict Chala's ending. No one can help him this time. He can only rely on himself. Just when everyone fell into sadness and despair, the video continues. Who are you? Just leaving without even saying hello. My intuition tells me that this happens to you often. After being knocked away by a punch. Chala stamped his right foot hard on the ground, then stopped. Face the collector. It would be a lie to say there is no pressure. 620. But will he give up? Won't, because now there are two big families waiting for him. One is a predator, another one is Wakanda. He must leave alive. Whoops. The sound of howling through the air resounded. Chala suddenly released his power from his right foot in one breath, and after stamping out a ripple of air on the ground, he rushed towards the collector like a cannonball and kept waving his hands towards the collector. Go home. Bang. Bang bang. The dull sound of impact continued to sound, and Chala's fists continued to bombard the collector's body. Each punch blasted out a circle of ripples of air, and you could feel that his power was very powerful. But what was shocking was that even though Chala was powerful, the collector remained motionless and even smiled disdainfully. After throwing a punch at will, Chala was blown away again with a heavy impact on the ground. Boom. Countless people saw this scene, and their hearts trembled with the sound of impact. It was exactly what they thought. The collectors in this world are indeed very powerful. Not only is he physically powerful, he also has many treasures. His right fist alone seems to belong to the Croonan tribe. It's quite impressive, isn't it? I heard it was cut from Cloonan's body. Of course, if you don't like this, we have a lot more to play with. Just watch. Finished. Countless People's nerves immediately became tense. Listen to the collector say this. They knew this guy was going to start showing off his collection point, and the way he shows off is to use his collection to torture Chala. Then in the worried and anxious eyes of everyone the collector summoned a collection cabinet after opening point. When people see what's inside the whole universe is boiling. Holy crap. Is that Captain America's shield? And Thor's hammer? Hiss. No wonder they said before that the status of collectors is equivalent to Thanos, but now it seems that it is really the case. You can actually collect these, and look at the dagger in his hand. I always feel like I've seen it somewhere before. At this time, this collection cabinet brought them a huge visual and spiritual impact. Everyone has a look of horror on their faces. They never imagined that collectors even have these things. However, when they saw the dagger in the collector's hand and heard what he said, they were even more shocked. This is a dagger made of dark matter, snatched from the leader of the Dark Elves. Boom, boom, boom. Everyone's hearts were beating suddenly, as if they had been hit hard. Holy crap. I thought the collector was already very powerful, but I just thought he wouldn't take the initiative to attack. But I didn't expect him to just steal it from the Dark Leader. Hiss. Is it so powerful? I remember that the monster under the Dark Leader was very powerful. In the previous video, if Loki hadn't tricked him, I feel like even Thor couldn't beat him. Now tell me, the collector actually snatched him away. My god, how strong is he? Looking at his many collections, you can tell how strong he is. Captain America's shield and Thor's hammer, I think it is very likely that they were also stolen. Maybe both Captain America and Thor. What did he do to me? Oh my god, how will Chala survive? Can he survive? Originally, people thought that collectors were already strong, but seeing the collection they realized they were wrong. Collectors may be stronger than they think. However, when the inner layer of the collection cabinet was opened, their suspicions were further confirmed. Everyone froze in place. Or do you prefer something more elegant? After the collector used the dagger, he manipulated the storage cabinet behind him and opened the inner layer and revealed a black helmet. It's covered with spike-like things. That's right. It is the helmet of Hela, the daughter of Odin and the goddess of death. Boom. At this moment, everyone in Asgard was stunned. Even Odin above has his pupils dilating rapidly. He never expected that not only was Thor's hammer obtained by this guy, but Hela's helmet was also with him. How is it possible? Am I so weak in another world? I can't even defeat this guy. He can even take away the hammer. It's so abominable. Just when the gods fell into confusion, or brought all of them to their senses, I saw Thor's whole body wrapped with the terrifying power of thunder. It seems that, as long as he gives an order, the entire Asgard will be reduced to nothingness under the wrath of the god of thunder. It shows how angry he is. But no wonder the weapon that symbolizes oneself is regarded as a collection by others. It's worse than killing him. Reckless guy, haven't you seen that Hela's helmet is also regarded as a collectible? The sister who crushed your hammer with one hand cannot be underestimated. This shows how powerful this collector is. Loki's words immediately calmed Thor down. The two eyes seemed to be like lightning, staring at the collector in the video. That's right. Chapter 196. As Loki said, this collector was actually able to keep Hela's helmet as a collectible. In all likelihood, his strength has surpassed hers, even if you use other means. But it is undeniable that this guy's strength exceeds everyone's imagination. I couldn't help but become more desperate. Chala must die. I hope that leopard can survive from this guy. Otherwise we Asgard will also feel guilty. After all, this is Hela's weapon. Thor murmured softly. Continue to watch the video. That woman has such good taste. I saw the collector putting on Hela's helmet. She pushed her hands back from her temples enchantingly, like Hela. Then a sharp blade flashing with cold light appeared in his right hand. It looks extremely sharp and can make people tremble just by looking at it. The blade of the undead, the goddess of death from Asgard. Whoosh, whoosh. Finished. The sharp blades of the collector controller kept flying toward Chala, causing bursts of howling sounds that broke through the air. Fortunately, Chala's agility allowed him to dodge attacks again and again, and jump to a higher counter. At this time, the music gets extremely high. The entire video is in slow motion, with the camera zooming in between Chala and the collector, under the shocked and excited eyes of countless People, Chala did a backflip and took off his helmet directly from above the collector. Boom, boom, boom. See this scene. Countless people raised their arms and shouted. His face was so excited that he turned red. They all cheered and celebrated, unexpectedly, in such an absolute crushing situation. Chala, a skilled artist, would be so bold as to take off the collector's helmet. Chala, awesome. However, just when everyone was about to send barrages like crazy to flood the screen, point music is thrilling again. Just like a roller coaster, it just reached the top and suddenly fell downwards, catching countless people off guard. Their hearts beating loudly, and they felt a huge crisis. I saw Chala just getting the helmet and stabilizing his figure zero. The collector opposite calmly pressed the control instrument on his left hand, point in the eyes of countless people in surprise and annoyance. The helmet flew back to the collector's head again and fired countless sharp blades, stabbing Chala and nailing him to a collection cabinet. When the camera turns to the collector again, point he showed an intriguing smile, point it gave countless people goosebumps, and a chill rushed from their backs to their scalps. You are so weak. You abandoned your hometown and family. Now, your new family has abandoned you. There is another sharp blade in the collector's hand. Pointing at Chala he said, point apparently he finds Chala very pathetic, point wanting to break Chala's defenses bit by bit is also one of his great pleasures. However, he didn't expect it, point Chala wasn't as sad as he thought he was. Instead, he stared at him unyieldingly and said, you may not have heard, but predators never act alone. Ding. When Chala said these words, the collector's heart skipped a beat, point, and everyone watching the video also became excited. That's right. Predators never act alone. Their anticipation was peaking at this moment, and their curiosity was rising crazily. Could Chala really survive this time? Who do you think will come back to save Chala? I guess it must be Nebula. After all, she and Chala are so close. No, I think he is a fanatic. Look how much he admires Chala. No, you are too young. I'm sure that if there is one person who is willing to risk his own life to save Chala, even though he knows that the collector is so powerful, then this is the only one. Yes, it's only him. After all, he loves Chala so much. That's right. Most people think and look forward to the person who comes to save Chala. It's Yondu. Whoosh. At this moment, point, when Chala said these words, a red whistle arrow penetrated the helmet on the collector's head in a flash of lightning, point, and the camera followed the whistle arrow to the other side. When Yondu's figure came into everyone's eyes, touched, admired, all kinds of complex emotions are mixed in my heart. Yondu, my dear, this is like a cue. I'm not leaving my child alone, and leaving here alone. Yondu's eyes were extremely determined, point, without hesitation. He will control the whistle arrow and head towards the collector. See this scene 1.3 point. Countless people stood up excitedly, but my heart is more touched. Yondu admitted that he treated Chala as a child. I knew it. I knew he would come to save Chala. Yes. Even if Chala says they are not his family, will Yondu mind? Of course not. As for why, because he really loves Chala. Yes, yes. He really loves Chala. Just like Yondu loves Quill in this world. This guy who seems to be afraid of death will risk his life for Chala or Quill every time. Again, how could you watch him die and run away? From now on, Yondu is also a hero in my heart. Countless people cheered, point, as said before, point, even when Chala retorts to their faces that Yondu is not his family, point. But how could it affect Yondu's love for him? They are predators, but they are family. As for family members, they should help each other and support each other. Even among powerful enemies, they are not alone. They can definitely defeat it. At this moment, point, when Yondu appears, the background music became extremely high and intense. Just like a firewood burning more and more vigorously in winter without being affected by the cold wind. Countless people looked at Yondu and Chala with excited expressions. The worries and despair just now are gone. Now there is more hope, passion, and burning. So people believe that the two of them will definitely defeat the collector. Point 120. Thanos saves his daughter, and Yondu recreates the famous scene of Iron Man. Video continues when Yondu shows up. Point, he did not hesitate to control the whistle arrow and attack the collector. Whoosh. A whistling sound pierced the sky, and the whistle arrow was like a red thread shuttled back and forth in the air, and at an unusually tricky angle. It flew in front of the collector in a flash of lightning. Crack. The sound of breaking resounded throughout the space. Just when countless people thought that Yondu could use the whistle arrow to cause fatal damage to the collector, they did not expect that the collector directly and accurately predicted the position of the whistle arrow and broke it in half. Holy shit, broken. See this scene point. Countless people only feel short of breath and numb scalp. In Star-Lord Quill's video before, they saw the power of Yondu's whistle arrow, but they never expected that they would be broken by the collector before they could exchange a few moves. Suddenly a chill filled everyone's body, and they began to tremble involuntarily. It's like standing in front of a wild beast, full of oppression. What about Yondu and Chala in the video? If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 197. The result is when the background music becomes full of crisis, tight and urgent. The moment the collector thrust his fist forward. Silky transitions again. I saw the collector's huge body transforming into Thanos' huge body. See this scene. People's tension and sense of crisis have not diminished at all. On the contrary, I'm even more looking forward to whether Yondu and Star-Lord can fight against the collector. But when they saw the plight of predators like Thanos, my heart skipped a beat. Obviously it's not easy on this side either. However, what everyone did not expect was that Thanos' right fist hit the Proxima Centauri in front of him fiercely. After sending it flying away, he turned to Nebula and the others and said, "Get aboard." "Ah, you crazy? You can't do it yourself." See the scene. Countless people froze in place. They rubbed their eyes. I thought I had seen it wrong. In everyone's impression, Thanos is a ruthless person who can even throw his beloved daughter off a cliff. When will he actually stand up in times of crisis? Oh my god, really? What the hell? Is this Thanos? Are you kidding me? How is that possible? How could Thanos step forward to protect them? It's fake. It must be fake. Hiss. Thanos in this world doesn't seem to be as bad as we thought. Yes, I think Thanos is protecting Nebula. Although he and Nebula still have conflicts in the other world, it does not hinder it. He also loves Nebula. When everyone is confused, a barrage instantly attracted their attention. If you look carefully, you will find that Nebula and Thanos had conflicts from the beginning. But what did Thanos do? The moment he saw the spaceship on Nebula, he turned around and blocked her behind him, planning to stop the Dark Army alone. This means that he wants to protect Nebula and his daughter. Boom. There were expressions of shock and disbelief on countless people's faces. It felt like a huge wave had set off in my heart, and I couldn't calm down for a long time. They never thought that in this world, except for Yondu, who is not his biological father, but looks like his biological father. Even Thanos has such an unknown side. Once upon a time, they all thought Thanos only liked his other daughter Gamora. But now they know that Thanos also likes Nebula. Fake. 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 You have never looked at me. You only care about Gamora every time. At this time, Nebula, who was watching the video, had great mood swings. Although she usually doesn't dare to make a loud noise in front of Thanos, but this time is different. She actually felt Thanos' subtle love. This is something she never dared to imagine. Compared to Gamora, she will always be the one disliked. How can there be any talk of love? She couldn't believe it, and she didn't want to believe it. Thanos above heard the words, did not speak, and remained silent. He himself was lost in thought. Although the self in the other world gave up the original plan. But the conflict with Nebula still remains. I just didn't expect that my other self would actually step forward for Nebula. Maybe he himself didn't understand what kind of emotion he felt towards Nebula. At this time, the background music gradually became intense and high-pitched, making countless people feel excited, as if they expected a war to begin. So people once again fixed their sights on Thanos. I saw murderous intent in his eyes, and he turned back to Zingan and said, "I'm not crazy, I'm angry." When Thanos turned his head, his aura suddenly rose, reminiscent of the hero of the past, the Hulk. When the Battle of New York just started, he said the same thing to Captain America. At this moment, Thanos in this world seems to have transformed into a hero, stopping his men. He is a father who protects his daughter. Bang, bang bang. The dull sound of impact resounded one after another, and Thanos' fists were seen constantly bombarding the soldiers. With each punch, a soldier was like a kite with broken strings, falling hard from high altitude to the ground. Destroy them all in the blink of an eye. See this scene point. People who are watching the video seem to see hope point. Although Thanos doesn't have the Infinity Gauntlet now point, but they know that Thanos' physical strength cannot be underestimated. But just as they thought point, when Thanos can sweep across the entire Dark Army point, the Black Dwarf dragged an extremely heavy weapon towards Thanos and smashed it directly towards him. Boom. I saw an extremely heavy rivet hitting Thanos' body, and the force exploded directly, causing a huge spider web crack to dent in the ground under his feet, and his knees were also slightly bent. Fortunately, he was strong enough to catch the blow steadily, but what he didn't expect was Proxima Centauri, which was blasted away by him before, sprinted over from behind at this moment. I saw Dark Knight Proxima slashing his calf with the spear in his hand. Blood suddenly flowed out, and he half knelt on the ground, as if he had lost his center of gravity. Then he and Black Dwarf attacked him from both sides at the same time, leaving scars one after another on his body. In the end, he knocked it to the ground, and stepped on it. Boom boom boom. Countless people heard the sound of the attack. It felt like a slap on my body, and my heart felt like it was grabbed by a hand. Feeling aggrieved and unwilling, even though Thanos is very powerful point, but the Black Dwarfs and Dark Knight Proxima Centauri in this world also seem to be more powerful. Under the joint attack of the two, Thanos could not even stand up from the ground. Even Proxima Centauri raised the spear in his hand high, and made a downward stabbing motion. Boom, boom, boom. Countless people saw this scene point. My heart was beating wildly point. All the nerves in the body were tense at this moment. Could it be that Thanos just explained it here? Snapped. At this critical moment, a gunshot rang out. Just when Proxima Darkness was about to thrust her spear downwards, a laser accurately hit her chest and blasted her away. When the lens turns to the source of the laser, people were extremely surprised. That's right, it was Nebula who came to rescue Thanos. It seems that the father and daughter have finally settled their differences. Yes, Nebula was unwilling to communicate with Thanos at first, but now that she has come to save him, she has made her attitude clear. It would be great if Thanos and Nebula in our world were like this. Hey, so this is just a possibility of other worlds in the future. Countless people are fantasizing point. If only the real world was like the world in the video point, at least that way. So many people wouldn't have been sacrificed, there wouldn't have been so many superheroes, and so many things would have been lost. Just when people are deep in thought point, the Black Dwarf resists the laser attack point. He rushed to the front of Zingarn point, and he stretched out his extremely thick arms, and grabbed his neck severely, and lifted him up. See the scene point. Thanos' pupils expanded rapidly, but with so many wounds on his body, even if he wanted to stand up, he couldn't. Just when he thought Nebula was going to die in front of him. Chapter 198. Nebula, she is so smart and astute point. How could he fall here? She opened the embers of creation she had obtained before, and threw a few seeds towards the Black Dwarf's mouth. Immediately, towering trees sprouted from the Black Dwarf's body, and spread crazily with an irresistible force. Cool. See the scene point. Countless people finally breathed a sigh of relief point. Thanos, Nebula and others successfully destroyed the Dark Army point and successfully entered the interior of the spacecraft point along with the hum of the engine. It turned into a stream of light and rushed out of this place. What about Yondu and Chala? They'll be fine for sure. At this moment point, when Nebula said these words, everyone's expectations were heightened at this moment point. Yes, Thanos and Nebula managed to escape point. What about Yondu and Star-Lord? They still remember that the Sentry arrow was directly broken by the Collector. They really can't imagine how two guys without weapons can deal with a Collector who has so many collectibles, but they know, they believe, just like Nebula believes in Yondu and Chala, those two guys will be able to successfully defeat the Collector. The music gradually becomes more intense and high, making people feel less nervous and more excited and expectant. Can't wait to see how Yondu and Chala will defeat the Collector. The scene changes. The Collector's fist kept hitting Yondu's face point with each punch. The powerful force directly bursts out a terrifying shockwave. Yondu was immediately knocked to the ground point and Chala, who was nailed to the exhibition cabinet in the distance, roared in pain and pulled out the spikes from his shoulders. Countless people took a breath of cold air. You can feel Chala's fearless courage. Even though he was bleeding profusely, he still rushed towards the collector resolutely, because a predator never fights alone. He will fight, even if he is injured. But I didn't expect it. The collector's power was too strong and even sent the two of them flying away. Any other ideas? Carry out a sneak attack. Is it possible? Then who will be the bait? Of course it's you. Who told you to lie to me? Yondu. And Chala didn't give up. Instead, a sneak attack plan was formulated. And under the expectant eyes of countless people, Yondu rushed forward, truly like a bait, being lifted up by the collector and beaten repeatedly. Chala, on the other hand, was half squatting and adjusting the thrusters on his feet. See the scene. Countless people were puzzled. Is this a sneak attack? Wait a minute. Yondu goes up and gives the collector a beating, while Chala stands still. Is this called a sneak attack? Why do I feel like I'm dying in vain? Yeah. What are the two of them doing? No. Look at Yondu's hands. Just when countless people are confused. The collector threw Yondu to the ground and then prepared to press the instrument on 620's arm to summon the collectible point. But it wasn't until his fingers touched his arm that he realized that his instrument had already been taken away by Yondu. Boom. When people see this scene, everyone recalled the scene where Iron Man snatched Thanos' 6 Infinity Stones. This wave can be said to be a classic reenactment. Yondu successfully stole the collector's instrument. It turns out that this is what sneak attack means. Holy crap. So that's what sneak attacks mean. This reminds me of Iron Man, who did the same thing. He went up to beat Thanos for nothing, but in fact the real purpose was to steal his 6 gems. Now Yondu does the same. That's what it's done. This father and son are so good. I love it. As expected of a grand thief, he can steal things without anyone noticing. I want to see how the collector wins this time. That's right. Give him a good beating. Countless people feel excited and looking forward to Yondu Chala beating him up. But what they didn't expect was Chala leaped up, used the thrust of the rocket thruster to blast him away with his knees, and locked him in the cage accurately. See the scene. The pupils of countless people dilated rapidly. I felt a surge of joy rush straight to my forehead. That's right. Beating him isn't the best way to relieve your anger. Putting him in a cage is the best way to relieve his anger, but I never expected it. What they call the most relieving thing is not the most relieving thing. I saw two people handing the instrument to the maid, and when the maid released all the collections, the whole universe had goosebumps all over the place. It turns out that locking him in a cage and releasing the collection of creatures he had collected in the past would be the best way to relieve his anger. No, don't do this. In the screen. Countless humanoid collectibles surrounded the collector like ants. The anger is overwhelming, and the murderous intent is pervasive, accompanied by miserable screams. The camera moves further and further away. The entire ancient god's head was entangled and spread by towering green trees. A Wakanda spaceship relied on its superb technology to escape from one thick branch after another, and the camera also zooms in on the cabin. Chala and Yondu both laughed heartily. The atmosphere is very harmonious and warm. Same as Thanos Nebula. The two of them also reconciled. See this scene. People's hanging hearts were finally relieved. This wave is really too exciting. The plot is full of ups and downs, leaving people wanting more, but they know that now Chala faces a choice. That's the choice between Predators or Wakanda. They want to know what Chala's answer is. 121. Star-Lord Quill's father? Question mark. Star-Lord gets his reward. Yes. Did you see it? This is me. It's me. Real world. At this moment. Lin Lan novel group 703,216,220. Yondu, who was watching the video, shouted excitedly, a proud smile on his face. He knew he could rescue Chala and defeat the collector. In fact, he did. And it also recreated the famous scene from Iron Man. He is a hero too. He is indeed our boss. The Predator never fights alone. The boss is mighty. Boss is mighty. That damn Star-Lord must have seen this scene. I really want to see the expression on his face. HMPH. That's right. Beating me once is not enough. I have to beat you twice. Okay. Please stop arguing. I don't know where Quill is yet. I'll wait until I find him. Now I just want to know how to choose the other child. The smile on Yondu's face gradually disappeared. Instead, it became more solemn. The other marauders also stopped making noise. They all looked towards the dimensional platform. I can understand Yondu's mood. Although he is Star-Lord from another world. Chapter 199. But Yondu also treats him as his own child. Naturally, he hopes that his children can stay with him. But the final choice still lies with him. Everyone is looking forward to whether Chala will choose to stay with the Predators or go to Wakanda. You guys actually defeated the Collector. That's so cool. Wakanda. In the laboratory of the University of Nottingham. Chala's sister has always been quirky. He is also good at teasing his brother, but this time, she didn't make fun of him. She was sincerely proud of her brother. In this world, as Black Panther, he is a superhero. In another world, as Star-Lord, he is also a superhero. How could she not be proud? Yes, I finally breathed a sigh of relief. When Yondu's sentry arrow broke, I already knew that we would lose, but fortunately our sneak attack was successful. Chala's face was also filled with a proud smile. It's that calm, generous smile. He is full of kingly demeanor, and when he saw himself and Yondu in another world escaping in a Wakanda spaceship, his expression froze. Although the other self has reconciled with Yondu. But there is one more choice before him. That is, he now knows that Wakanda is still there, and his father has sent countless spaceships to look for him. How to choose? I couldn't help but feel nervous and stared at the video solemnly. Want to know the answer. What do you think Chala will choose? Will he choose to leave the big family of Predators and return to Wakanda to be his king? Or will he choose to continue his interstellar adventure? I think he will choose the latter option. After all, he has been doing justice in the interstellar world since he was a child and enjoying this kind of freedom. Once he returns to Wakanda, he will be trapped in a cage like he was when he was a child. No, I think he will choose the former one. Chala must still want to return to Wakanda in his heart. In the universe, people are also speculating on what Chala will choose. They couldn't argue with each other. After all, everyone's reasons are very reasonable. And when the camera zooms into the inside of the spacecraft, people turned their attention to Chala. I want to know how he chooses. Video continues. The background music becomes soothing and soft. It feels like you have finally emerged from the darkness. My heart suddenly became enlightened. It's a miracle that all the crew are still here. Then, let's meet at the meeting point. Received. Check. At this time inside the spaceship Nebula's projection appeared, and with a sigh, he made an appointment with Chala to meet at the meeting point. At this time, Yondu also walked up and sat in the passenger seat. You have indeed been providing shelter to those on the run. Listen, Chala, I want to say, no need to say anything. I was the one who told you that you wanted to come out and see the world. What you did will show me the entire universe. Chala understood that Yondu wanted to apologize. But he felt that there was nothing wrong with what Yondu did. When I was a kid, I wanted to take risks, so he followed Yondu around. And he experienced an interstellar adventure that he had never experienced in Wakanda in his entire life. So he was very grateful to Yondu. It was Yondu who gave him this experience. Finished. The camera followed Chala's gaze and looked toward the outside of the spaceship. The colorful nebulae are one after another, full of mystery and extremely magnificent at the same time. Every scene seems to be unable to describe the beauty of the universe in words. Yes, she is indeed a beauty, isn't she? The corners of Yondu's mouth raised slightly. Metaphorically speaking, the universe becomes a beauty. It can be seen that his heart also yearns for the vast world. See this scene. Those who believed Chala would return to Wakanda side. Because Chala's words made them feel that he chose Yondu. Those who believe that Chala will choose to stay with the Predators are as happy as if they have won a jackpot. But what everyone didn't expect was the next conversation. Both parties were stunned in place. I have always felt very comfortable here, but after knowing everything, I don't know where I belong. I've met a lot of space travelers, Kit, and if I've learned anything from you, it doesn't matter which planet you're on, or who you meet, this galaxy is your destination. The question is where you want to go, isn't it? Question mark? You just need to follow your heart, Mr. Star-Lord. When Yondu finished speaking, the coordinates of the Earth are revealed. Immediately bring an epiphany to Chala in the video, and also to those who are watching the video. Yes, why get hung up on choosing where to stay, be a space traveler? What's more important is where you want to go. Chala can be both a member of the Ravagers and the Prince of Wakanda. Yes, why bother so much? Chala can go wherever he wants. Maybe this is the so-called freedom. That's right, this thing has no choice, just follow your heart. I didn't expect that Yondu, a guy with some knowledge, could actually say these words. Yondu, I told you that you are too young. When I was wandering in the universe, many of you were not born yet, Star-Lord. A certain guy is bragging again, but it is worth mentioning that this time he is really handsome. Yes, Yondu's words immediately made Chala no longer so confused, staring at the projection of the Earth with bright eyes, and when the projection conveyed a plate, the camera zooms in on the plate, and after a silky transition, the Predator's spaceship has arrived at this place, Wakanda. But Chala didn't come here alone. Behind him, there is the entire family of Predators, magnificent and majestic. When the door of the hall was opened, Chala took the lead and walked in, and on the throne at the deepest place was his father, whom he had not seen for a long time. Father, son, my son, I knew you would find your way home. I'm sorry it took me so long. Let me introduce you to the family I met on my trip. When Chala said these words, countless people were moved in their hearts. That's right. Now Chala finally admits that the Predators are his family. They were drinking and chatting together happily, and the atmosphere was very harmonious, accompanied by the cheerful and pleasant ending song. Countless people are still not satisfied. But there was also a satisfied smile on his face. After all, this time, there is finally a good ending. This time I finally have no regrets. That's right, it's finally a good ending. From one family reunion to another. It can't get better than this, right? It's just a pity that I didn't get to see Chala's future life. No, why is the ending song playing and the video still going on? Just when people thought the video was over, but found that the video was still continuing, their pupils dilated rapidly, and they stared at the screen, wanting to know what else would happen. Just when the King of Wakanda and Yondu were talking about why they came to Earth and took Chala away, screen switching, a figure was humming and wiping the floor in a fast food restaurant. When the camera zooms in, countless people took a breath of cold air, because this man is the real Star-Lord, Peter Quill. Chapter 200. Just when countless people want to know what happened, a figure walked in. Peter Quill frowned and responded, "Sorry, we are closed." "What's the matter, Peter? Can't you spare a moment for your dear old father?" Boom, boom, boom. Hear this? Countless people's faces were full of shock and disbelief. They didn't expect it at all. The family is reunited on Chala's side. Peter Quill reunited here too. Is this guy Peter Quill's biological father? Star-Lord. Hiss. This guy's my father? Why do I feel nothing like him? Holy crap. Star-Lord really has a biological father? I thought Yondu just said it. Do you still remember what Yondu said? It's a good thing he didn't give him to his father. Wait a minute. I seem to remember that Yondu said this at the end of the last video. Could it be that his father is a bad person? And he is probably a god? Yondu. It's over. He actually found Quill. When Peter Quill was seen reunited with his father, I quickly thought of what Yondu said in the previous video. Suddenly a sense of crisis swept over me, and it felt like something bad was going to happen. And Yondu's barrage also confirmed people's view, although he didn't explicitly say what would happen. But even if you use your brain, you know that it is probably the world destroying level, because they remember very clearly that Star-Lord is a demigod, and his father is probably a god. Restless just when people want to know what happens next. The picture is frozen in this scene. And a narration sounded. Star-Lord. Chapter. The inventory is over. Wow. The words just fell. The whole universe was in an uproar. They are crazy to know what will happen next. As a result, His meow was gone again. It makes countless people's hearts feel itchy, as if they are crawling with ants. No. More. Damn. I don't know what happened later. After all, they are all independent worlds. Yeah, the author is too deceptive. These independent worlds don't show us what happens next. Isn't this just purely titillating? No. It's very wrong. Don't forget, this author is particularly good at keeping people's appetites. Since he hasn't released it now, it means he will definitely appear later. You mean there might be a linkage with it in the future? Just like the previous ranking list. Hiss. When people realized this possibility point, they all took a breath of cold air. My heart felt like a turbulent wave had set off, and I couldn't calm down for a long time. That's right. Same goes for previous rankings, so this time will probably be no exception. But at this moment the sound of the dimensional platform also sounded. Ding. The inventory is over, and candidates are being randomly selected to receive rewards. The words just fell. Countless people who were still excitedly speculating about what would happen next had their eyes lit up. He fixed his sight on the dimensional platform. Everyone is guessing who will get the reward this time. Tell me, is it Chala who gets the reward this time, or Quill? Not necessarily the two Star Lords. It could also be Yondu. It was he who took the instrument from the collector and saved everything. No, I think it's Nebula. Without her plan, it would be impossible to succeed. Yeah, I think there are too many candidates this time. Do you think Thanos can also get it? So far, these superheroes have been rewarded. If Thanos gets the reward this time, then our world is much more interesting. Stop it. If Thanos gets the reward, he won't save others like in this video. He might just rush to the earth to snatch the gems. Nebula. I think my father can get a reward. You so-called superheroes are really disgusting. Countless people were discussing it. After all, there are too many candidates this time. Anyone may receive a reward. And just then ding. It made countless people's nerves tense and their concentration reach the extreme. They all swallowed hard, wanting to know who won the reward county this time. Ding. Congratulations to Star-Lord Peter Quill for winning the award. 122. Choose one of two rewards. Hidden video. Father is kind and son is filial. Father, I think you will definitely get a reward. Even if the worst case scenario is that I get a reward, I will dedicate it to you. At this moment inside the huge spaceship Nebula half knelt on the ground as if it were before if only she gained the power to kill Thanos, she would definitely kill him without hesitation. But now I know that Thanos loves her too. The emotions in my heart are very complicated. He even wants to do his best to please Thanos as before. The Dark Legion and others on the side did not dare to say a word. They were even afraid that Thanos would be angry with them because of the video just now. After all, they in another world almost killed Thanos. Reward. Interesting. Thanos sits on the throne. Just be there. There was a coercion emanating from his body. At this time, there seemed to be flames burning in his eyes. The flames of expectation. That's right. Once upon a time he watched as the superheroes were awarded one after another. Every reward he gets is enough to interfere with his plans. And this time have a chance to get rewards yourself. How can you not look forward to it? So I fixed my sights on the dimensional platform, waiting for the winner to be announced. However, when he heard the final selection his fist hit the seat hard, showing his anger. It's actually Star-Lord. Thanos is extremely angry. After all, he now asked Ronan to snatch the cosmic spirit ball. If Star-Lord gets the reward, his plan will fail again. Then his eyes flashed. He said to Zingan and others below, now, go to Zinda. Here. Thanos words. Everyone else's eyes lit up. Even starting to get excited. They know that Thanos is planning to take action. Shock. Speechless. No one expected it. The last person to receive the reward was Peter Quill. Good guy. Star-Lord. It's me. It's me. It's me. Holy crap. Why is it Peter Quill? How disgusting. It's actually him. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.